Hey, Shalom family, we live. Told y'all we was going live tonight. This is it. This is it, family. Let's go. We're about to have that conversation that we've been meaning to have for a while. So what I need for everybody to do within the sound of my voice is make sure that you share this video on social media. Share it wherever you can. Let everybody know that we live. We're talking about it tonight. Israelites and the RBG movement. Should Israelites classify themselves as RBG? Share this wherever you at. Share it. Let them know that we live. All right, we got some guests on tonight. So we're about to have the brothers come in shortly. We're going to give everybody a chance to come in. We already got people in the building. I know some of y'all been waiting. Some of y'all been in the room for a minute. So we're about to go live in the next 2 minutes. Let's go. Let's do it. Maccabeestv. Let's go. Now, I already got 30-something people in the building. Let's go. Building. Let's go. Good. About to go live shortly, family. Just waiting for a few more people to come in. If y'all can hear me, I need for y'all to hit 1 on the comment boards. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know everything is good. If y'all can hear me loud and clear, please hit 1 on the comment boards and let me know that I'm loud and clear. And yeah, I mean, we're definitely gonna explain that. I'm gonna have everybody come on and explain exactly what they mean. Absolutely, 100%. Right? Have everybody come on and explain exactly what they mean. Just give me a moment. All right, let's do it. We about to go. We about to get it, family. Let's go. Everybody's coming. Looks like y'all been waiting. I already got 43 people in the house. Shalom to everybody. Thank you all for being here. I see everybody's in the building. All the guests are in the building. Let's go. Let's get the introduction going. And then we're going to start the show. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out tonight. Maccabeestv, it's your brother, Priest Danyaahla, Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. Y'all can see I got some guests on the line tonight, and you already see what the topic is, and I see y'all came in quick, so everybody been waiting for us to talk about this. I've been seeing all the comments on Facebook. So tonight's topic is, should Israelites classify themselves as RBG? That's the question. Now, Israel is divided on this like a whole bunch of other topics. So we have a bunch of guests on the line. I was supposed to have some more, but some brothers couldn't make it. Other brothers, they're coming on in a little while. Brothers is on their way home from work. So what I'm going to do, we're going to get right to it. I'm going to start by bringing in the guests that I have already on the line. They're going to introduce themselves, and I'm going to give every brother about 5 minutes to introduce themselves and to pretty much state their stance on the topic of whether or not an Israelite should classify himself as RBG. I'm going to start with my brother D-Red in the building. That's my brother. Now, you know, me and you, we was banging hard yesterday behind the scenes. Nobody saw it but us. Those of us that's on the phone, we are all in private Facebook chat group, and we was going hard yesterday. And my brother was going hard on me, but I still love it. It's my guy right here. So, brother D-Red, unmute yourself. Introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are, where they can find you, and what is your stance on Israelites calling themselves RBG?
Shoot, what it do, baby? It's your boy D-Red, aka the Blue Collar Scholar, man. You can tell by my icon, man. I'm RBG, flags up. You see what I'm saying? I got the best with you, but yeah, Danyaahla, that's my boy, and I mean, I'm RBG. I mean, RBG is just a social political thing. It ain't got nothing to do with theology. Ain't got nothing to do with your belief in the Most High. It's just socio-political, a way, something for us to build on, and that's just pretty much how I take it. We'll go into the details later, and that's it.
All praise, bro. Okay, mute your mic. Let me bring the next brother in. Next brother that's going to come on is none other than my brother, Yeshub Issachar, a.k.a. for those of y'all that don't know, his YouTube page is Genesis 49. As my brother goes hard, especially for so-called Mexicans, so-called Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, whatever, who we call 10 tribes, not the Spaniards, not the white man amongst them, but the so-called Negro and Indian people of those islands. My brother Yeshub Issachar is in the building. Brother, unmute your mic, introduce yourself, tell the people where they can find you, and what is your stance on this topic?
Yeah, I'm just Yeshub Issachar. You can subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Genesis 49ers. I'm completely against the RBG movement or identifying under that banner. We have a banner. We have the Torah. That gives us the law, statutes, and commandments. That gives us a guide. We don't need anything else. And I believe that the RBG movement, that flag and what it stands for, deters our people from the main goal. And that's returning to Torah and returning back to our nationality, which is Israelites. We're Israelites. When you deal with RBG, the main focal point that I'm seeing is that we're African. The UNIA is about gathering all African or melanated people together. We're about gathering all Israelite people together. So that's my main point, that a point of contention, and the reason why I can't really get down with the RBG movement. I yield the floor.
Yeah. No doubt. Appreciate it. We about to go in. And I'm hoping that y'all brothers, I told y'all earlier, make sure all of you brothers share that YouTube link. We're live on YouTube. Go to YouTube, share the YouTube link. We have a lot of people in the house. Make sure y'all like the video. Make sure y'all share it on social media. If y'all have questions, I'm going to come to the YouTube comment boards. I'm asking all my guests to make sure that you also answer questions on the YouTube comment boards if you can, when you're not speaking, in case we don't have a chance to actually answer the people live. Make sure that y'all go on the comment boards and talk to the people. We're definitely going to get some questions in later. Next up, my brother James Cassell. Y'all saw him on Maccabeestv. This brother is really, really, really a wise brother. Brother has a lot of information. So my brother James Cassell, please introduce yourself. Tell the people where they can find you, and what is your stance on whether or not we are RBG Israelites?
Shalom, shalom. I want to give all honor to the Most High and let it know that the main focal point of us RBG Hebrews is the Israelites. You know, RBG is like a socio-political movement that deals with things outside of theology, while the Israelite deals with our ancient descent. So, I mean, I honestly don't really see the contention. You know, I think that we're getting a lot of confused and mixed up with the terminology and not really dealing with the subject at hand. And I'm hoping that at the end of this, you guys can at least see our perspective and kind of iron out some of the differences that we have, or we just come to agree to disagree on things. But I think we all accept Torah as our foundation. There's no even argument about that. That's why that's not a focal point of us. We're more involved with the socio-political and economic things for our community. And with that, I yield the mic.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right. Next up, I have my brother Mikael Ben Israel. I see you, Lord. My brother from Chicago. It's crazy out in Chicago right now. I done saw the news, man. It's crazy out there. All praise to the Most High. We have an Israelite with boots on the ground out there to try to reach some of our people. So unmute your mic, Lord. Let the people know, where do you stand as far as Israelites identifying themselves as being RBG Hebrews? What's your stance? Let them know where they can find you also.
All right, yeah, I like shalom, shalom, grace and peace to the whole house of Israel. All honor and praise to the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, I'm just a fellow servant. Y'all know I got Hebrews in the Hood channel on YouTube. I'm also the founder of Walls of Jericho Biblical Historical Studies. And as far as the RBG thing, I got to be quite honest. I'm basically here. I got a few questions that I probably like to ask because I when I was noticing, like you say, we all in a group chat together, a bunch of Israelites from different walks of life or whatever, who trying to keep Torah and wake up their people. And as I was watching the correspondence back and forth between our beloved brothers that's RBG and our other brothers that are not RBG, I was noticing that it was some things that I probably need to look more into as far as the RBG, because my perspective was as almost as Brother Joshua's was, and that was that it was more of a, I mean, I only had the understanding that Marcus Garvey, of course, had something to do with it. I know about the Black Starship Enterprise. I know about the, I think it's the UNIA. If I said that wrong, y'all can correct me later. But what I had always noticed was most of Marcus Mosiah Garvey's top lieutenants were Israelites. They were Hebrew Israelites. So, but when you read the history, I never once really heard Marcus Garvey pronounce himself or that he was an Israelite or a Hebrew, and it probably was just due to the time. But being that he had people around him who knew that they was Israelites, I figured that, was it a movement that was for all the scattered Israelites? Because if that's the new perspective that's coming out, then I got to take a look at it. But my stance has always been, we are Israelites. You could say Hebrew Israelites, you could say a Messianic Israelite and all that type of things, but anything dealing with like another particular country or something like that, I just I never had that understanding that was something that was widely accepted in the community. And I will say this one thing though, there was a good point brought up. I have family members that are from the kingdom of Yahweh, and they do call themselves African Hebrew Israelites. That's kind of well known, especially in Chicago. So I basically just gonna have questions and try to see if the brothers can give a better perspective on it, because I do respect these my brothers on here. So we gonna, that's all.
All right, appreciate you, Lord. Thank you for that. Lastly, until I just got a message from brother Ron Divine Prospect. He about to come on soon. He said he's almost home. In the meantime, a brother that was not in our chat but asked me to come on, and I respect the brother, so I allowed him to come on. I like to allow the Mighty Hebrew to unmute his mic, and I want him to give his perspective on, should we classify ourselves as RBG Hebrew? Mighty Hebrew, unmute your mic, tell them where they can find you, what's your perspective, and I'll go last. And of course, when Divine Prospect gets on, we'll allow him to come in and jump right in. So, Mighty Hebrew, floor is yours, Lord.
Well, it's not the Mighty Hebrew. It's Danyaahla with TMAC TV.
Even better.
I just
Let's go. Go for it.
yeah, I pretty much just sat back and watched the conversation unfold, and I'm pretty much at the same standpoint with Maccabeestv in Israel. You know, I'm learning a lot on the subject right now, but I'm more so on the stance that as Israel, we should fall up under the banner of Israel, no matter what we're doing, due to the, especially the text Psalms 83, the scripture Psalms 83, where they say they would cut our name off from being a nation. So as we move and come back to our nation, I think it's important that we put the name of our nation in the front of anything that we do and not add anything else to it. So that's kind of where I stand. But I'm looking to learn more about the perspective of the RBG Israelites, because I learned a lot over the last few days as y'all been discussing it. So it's new perspectives, that ideas that I hadn't saw, and I'm examining them. But at the same time, I think in anything that we do, we should put Israel at the forefront and not add any other titles to it that takes us off course, and it doesn't really fit what I think we are trying to do as a nation, which is wake our people up and bring them back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. But that's my stance, and I'm here to just really to ask questions and maybe give a little input on my perspective on things. But that's pretty much it. And I want to say shalom to the family and my brothers. I know we all brothers. The conversations do get a little heated, but we do it with brotherly love, and it's just for the edification of the people. So that's where I'm at.
All right, I appreciate you, King. And so I'm gonna go last, right? And I'm gonna keep the same energy that was in the comment board, because some of y'all brothers is being nice. So I'm gonna keep the same energy so I can give y'all the same energy so we can talk. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how it's been in the chat behind the scenes. Y'all already know how. So y'all see a lot of people in the chat. So y'all trying to be nice. I ain't gonna be nice. Fuck that. Listen, man. I see faggots in the RBG movement. I see lesbians in the RBG movement. I see child molesters in the RBG movement. I see all types of crap in the RBG movement. The RBG movement of today is not the RBG movement of Marcus Garvey. It's not. Period. And I see that. And so I cannot claim it. Israel, I must claim, because that's my nationality. I must claim that. I will concede there's a lot of crap in the Israelite community too. I will concede that. But because it's my nationality, I must claim that. I don't need to add nothing to it, because the Most High already gave me the highest title he could give me. I'm a prince with God. There's nothing higher than that. If you're going to tell me about the RBG movement and all the tenets and what it really means and what it really means for our people, everything you bring me, I can find in Torah. Everything you bring me, I can find in Torah. So I don't have to add RBG to be an Israelite. I don't have to add being revolutionary to be an Israelite. I already did a video today. Y'all see the crackers gonna put my ass on a goddamn hate group list. So I'm already revolutionary. I don't need to add nothing else to it. Period. So that's where I stand. There's no need for me to call myself an RBG Hebrew. There's no need to call myself a sovereign Hebrew. There's no need to call myself a Christian Hebrew. There's no need to call myself a Moorish Hebrew. There's no need to call myself a Masonic Hebrew. Because when you check it out, you have Israelites that's claiming all them things. No, I'm just an Israelite. And that's better than every title you could bring me. That's my stance. Period. I ain't got to be long. So who wants to go first? Well, you know what? I'm gonna say this, right, brother. D-Red, I want to come to you first, right, and then y'all brothers can. I'll come to everybody. Somebody in the comment boards before we got started asked me to define what is RBG. So I'm gonna ask you to unmute your mic and define for the people what is RBG.
I mean, it's just red for the blood of the people, black for us as a people, and green for the land. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I mean, that's just all it stands for. It's just an epithet for us, basically trying to come together and wake our people up to not only just what's our plight, our history, who we are. It's also waking our people up to say, you know what, we got to come together economically. We got to come together on these social issues. We got to come together to fix what's going on in Chicago. We're going to have to come together to police our community. we're gonna have to come together to fix whatever's going on that we're dealing with. We got to come together to fix it. And what I mean by that is this. Let me show you, give you a little tidbit of history. Europe used to be divided, right? A lot of people don't know that. You see what I'm saying? If you read a book called White Gold, it talks about how the Europeans would they viewed themselves as different entities, right? A German don't classify themselves as an Italian. Hell, on the same island, the Scots don't classify themselves as English. You see what I'm saying? But when it was time to enslave our asses, they all classify themselves as white or as Europe. They know how to come together. I have an Asian partner, you know what I'm saying, that I know, that I went to school with. He said, I watch you on YouTube from time to time. He said, y'all be arguing about this, that, this, that, this, that. He said, we got Christians, Asians, Shintoists, Taoists, Buddhists, Christians, Muslims. He said, but we don't ever argue about that because the only thing that matters to us is that we're Asian. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you talk to an Asian, is a Korean the same as a Vietnamese? No, they'll tell you no. You see what I'm saying? Is a Vietnamese the same as a Chinese? No. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, when it's time for them to practice group economics, that Japanese dude is gonna go to the Chinese man before he come to you, and they consider themselves historically enemies from the Japanese invading China. But the Chinese and the Japanese would do business with each other before they do business with you. So the whole point of the whole point of the RBG movement is to get us to have a mind frame of, we know this dude may be a Hamite, but if we're gonna keep or classify himself as a Hamite, he might not even be a Hamite. You see what I'm saying? But he may classify himself as that because he might say I'm African in a different sense that Israelite African may classify himself. So they may be totally different groups ethnically. You see what I'm saying? And I'm talking about here in the diaspora, over here in America, in the Americas. We may classify ourselves as something different, but that does not mean that we should not practice group economics or tackle the socio-political issues that we're dealing with in this country together. That's it. That's all. That's basically all it is.
All right, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna bring Jashub in and the rest of the brothers in. Everything you said can be done without claiming the title of RBG. Everything that you said can be done without us claiming the moniker of RBG. We could just be Israel and do all that stuff. Even dealing with people that's outside the paradigm of calling themselves Israelites, even though we may think that they're Israelites, we may believe that they're Israelites, we could do all of that without adding to what the Most High already gave us as our name. Now, I'm gonna bring you back in, Lord, but I want to bring in Jashub. Jashub, you want to speak about that?
You basically took the words from my mouth. Like, why do we need to subscribe on the RBG or that flag or any of the tenets when we already have the basic building blocks to restore the nation of Israel and the Torah? We already have that. So what's the purpose? It sounds like you guys looking for a caveat or looking for another edifice when we already have it. It's in our face.
But see, this is what Danyaahla, I think Danyaahla. Now, if you want to talk about how we talked in the back chat, but we already offered you guys. We said, let's drop everything. Don't call yourself Lions of Israel and have your own flag, your own moniker that you go by. Let's drop the ISUPK. Let's drop the IUIC. And nobody wanted to do it.
Wait, but so, RBG has a negative connotation.
Wait.
Go ahead, Red.
You know what I'm saying? So don't go act as no, but it don't. That may be how you feel. See, that's when you go about how you're feeling as opposed to how we may feel. We know that people try to adopt, white people try to adopt our culture as a whole. So people adopt your culture, and look what those white Jews are doing in the name of Israel right now today. They're having gay pride parades over in the Holy Land. So we know people adopt stuff and pervert it all the time.
That adds to my point. That's why I will not have that flag, the Jewish flag. I will not wear that as a banner and trying to say, oh, I'm going to use this to unify my people and share group economics. I would never do that. Same thing with the flag.
But you missing what he said though. He brought it back to y'all with a good valid point where I told y'all earlier. Y'all gonna have to deal with that.
That's not a good valid point. That's not a valid point because the UNIA. What does the UNIA have to do with?
What am I even talking about? Is the good valid point?
Dropping all the titles, right? That's what you're referring to.
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
What does the UNIA have to do with the Israelite movement as a whole?
Okay, again,
Lines of Israel, ISUPK, they have been building and grooming Israelites. The UNIA wasn't made for Israelites.
Okay, you say it wasn't made for Israelites, but we know that many of the foundational members of the UNIA were Israelites. Again, the flag, which we were talking about at the beginning, it represents the fact that the red was for the blood, like he said, the black for us as a people being united, and the green from the land from which we were taken into captivity. That's what it was about. That is a moniker for every one of our people based on the political situation of that day, not based on the ancient biblical roots from which we stem. It's socio-political. It is not dealing with us as our people inside of our isolated community as Israelites. It's when we deal with other people and other members of our community who don't identify themselves as Israelites, because it unites us all. I mean, we have to have a common ground to start at. We can't just start at either you Israel or you ain't.
But that sounds like we're trimming our ways for love, man, and trying to, accumulate numbers. Yes. We're not supposed to be doing that.
Wait. We're not asking people to become RBG Hebrews. We're not trying to grow and accumulate numbers. We're trying to provide for the needs of our community. And we're open to working with other people who may not identify themselves as Israelites, who may not even be our people, in order just to provide the needs for our people. Our people are still first, number one, foremost, Israel.
Period. But James, I ask you again, Slakia Yeshua, I ask you again, right? We can do that without adopting the moniker of RBG. I do that all the time. I know you do that and others do that as well. We can do that without adopting the moniker of RBG. The reasons why, and this is where I'm lost at, and maybe Yeshua could speak for himself and others, this is where I'm lost at. You guys are giving me all the reasons why you claim RBG, and I'm saying to you, all the reasons why you claim it, you can do without adopting the actual moniker of being RBG and just be Israelites. That's my question.
And we are open to doing that. I'm more than willing to doing that. Like we said, drop all the monikers and we'll just go by Israel and move as a nation and be Israel. I'm cool with that. But my roots ain't your roots. You have roots you stem from. You honor your roots. That's why you all, not everyone on here now, but most of you go by One West that oppose this right now, because it's your roots. We don't oppose that. We don't argue with y'all about that, because that's your roots. We understand. All of our roots don't stem from there. Some of our roots stem from the RBG movement. And we honor that just like y'all honor One West.
Which is not a Hebraic movement, by the way. It's not stemmed in Israelite ideals and thoughts.
How not?
Well, can you produce any information or a document?
No, I want you to produce. No, you making the claim. So the burden of proof right now is on you. So
first of all, okay, you broke it down, right? Red, black, and green. First of all, you're honoring a byword. We're not trying to go back to no damn byword, man. We're trying to bring our people back to their nationality and to their culture and their customs. And I don't see RBG doing that. I don't see it doing it historically. So, James, if you could provide this information, this data for me, maybe that will clear it up.
Okay, so okay, here we go. We're gonna go to the
UNIA. Sounds like a pro-African thing, not a pro-Israelite thing.
We're gonna go to the UNIA, right? Are you telling me that Rabbi Ford, who you stem from?
You got an Israelite. Hold on, wait. You got an Israelite that dealt with the Muslims. You got an Israelite dealt with the Muslims. It doesn't change the fact that the organization was geared towards Islam.
The organization wasn't geared towards any particular sect of thought. That is the problem. We understand that in our community we're geared towards
James, thought. Pan-Africanism was not the goal.
No, the RBG flag was brought in a rise to the song. Every nation has a flag but a coon. That's what the RBG flag was about, because we didn't have a flag, so they erected a flag for us. We're the people they were calling coons.
So it has nothing to do with amalgamating amongst other nations and other tribes.
That came
And the whole
along
purpose of the
different with
Torah is to
60s
separate
and
a
the
small
70s.
nation.
No. Do you understand? The flag was made in the 1920s. There was a movement talking about going back to the land from which we were taken because there was no opportunities given for us here. That makes sense. All right. That was part of a movement. Everybody who was in it did not want to go back to Africa and amalgamate into Africa. That was one branch of the thought. Other people wanted to stay here and keep building the community centers and things for our people. In the 60s and 70s is when the RBG flag became very popular with black liberalism. Liberalism. That's when it became majorly popular, and a lot of the ideologies you oppose came and joined into the mix.
So again, that connotation, that negative connotation is on that flag and on that title. We shouldn't have nothing to do with it.
That's your opinion.
So let me ask you a couple of questions, James, since you're talking. I got a question 1A and 1B. Question 1A, is the RBG movement of today the same as the RBG movement of the time of Garvey? Because what I'm seeing today, these dudes is throwing ankhs on the RBG flag. They're doing all types of stuff. Like I said, I see homosexuals, I see lesbians, I see all types of people claiming to be RBG. So is the movement of today, and there's a reason why brothers that come from the so-called One West camp separate themselves. It's bigger than just brothers coming from One West. It's that who we see amalgamating or claiming that title is one reason that separates a lot of us from even wanting to deal with it. So that's question 1A. Is it the same as the past? And secondly, what do you think about the fact that the RBG movement of today claims to be so-called pan-Africanist, which means that it also encompasses people that are not Israelites? They can also be part of the RBG movement. What do you say to those two things?
Well, okay. Well, again, the RBG movement, we're dealing more with the roots. So no, the modern day is not what it was in ancient times past. Just like modern Israel today is not what it is in ancient times past. Of course, there's going to be differences as people pervert things. D-Red talked on that earlier. And what was the B part of your question?
The B part of my question is, and it kind of stems towards the modern day RBG movement. Now you have non-Israelites that can also be part of the RBG, because the RBG movement of today is trying to incorporate everybody that has melanin. And that's going to include people that are non-Israelites, Hamites, and other nations as well. It encompasses all of them, which is another reason why I run from the hills from it, because I cannot claim that, because then I'm going to, within that movement, I'm going to have to make some separations. Like, okay, if I were to say tomorrow I'm RBG, right? I'm just going to have to make some separations now. Okay, I'm RBG, but I don't mess with nobody that's no Hamite. I don't mess with them. I don't mess with nobody that's no other nation, even if they got melanin. I don't mess with them if they're not Israel. So I'm going to make a separation even with underneath that banner. That's why I don't accept it. So what do you say about the fact that the so-called RBG movement of today accepts everybody that has melanin, regardless of what nation you come from or who you claim to be?
Okay, well, for one, I don't think it's everybody who has melanin. I mean, you would have to say everybody on the continent of Africa, because people got melanin that ain't in Africa at all. It ain't on the continent. But I get your main gist of your point. But I mean, who are we to define who is and who is not Israel all the time? Now, if they're coming from an area where a lot of our people were taken from, I mean, hey, who am I to say he's not Israel? He may not be, but it's not my job to do that. My job is to spread the word, let them know who we are, and speak to them, but also help them with their social needs, which is the main focus of the RBG part of the movement. Now, when we deal with the theology, that's a whole different thing, and we would probably agree with teaching everything the way you guys would teach it. But yeah, I mean, I mean, what other folks do under the moniker and stuff, we can't be held responsible for it. I mean, there's divisions under just being Israel. You know, we have RBG Israelites, because we're under the moniker of being Israel. RBG Israelites. We have IOG Israelites. We have One West Israelites. We have many, many different branches of Israelites. So, I mean, there's division everywhere. Israel ain't been united and ain't gonna be united till its king returns, the Messiah returns. So
it's a little different, though, Lord. It's a little different. I'm gonna tell you why it's a little different. We are Israel. That's our nationality. We have to accept that. RBG is a moniker that we adopt. Most High didn't give us that. It's a difference. So Even though you have differences under the banner of Israel, at the end of the day, that's the title the Lord gave us. So we can't run from that. But the RBG thing now, we could choose to accept it or not accept it based on what it is. So what I'm going to ask you, I think I asked it before, and somebody in the comment room asked it before as well. So I'll ask it again. When you speak about the principles of RBG, I want you to really go into that if you could. Maybe I asked D-Red and not you. What does it mean? What are the principles of being RBG? Can you explain that to the people?
Okay. The main key cornerstone of it is the unity of our people, the people that were brought over here in the transatlantic slave trade and dispersed to the many various parts of the globe. Is about the unity of those people and bringing those people together under political, social, and economic means. That's what it's about.
Okay, yeah, I get that, Lord, but I'm gonna ask you the same way as D-Red. We have that in the Torah already. Why do we need to add RBG to our name? That's already defined for us in the Torah.
And I've already said, okay, I'm cool with it. We can drop all the monikers and just go by Israel. I mean, we've said that already. But
that's a false equivalency. James, you know that's a false equivalency.
Just show me. That's what I'm saying, though. That's all. It's one line. But if you can use a moniker of your decision, and you can call back to your roots, I can do the same. Go ahead, Joshua.
That's a false equivalency because, again, the RBG, what does that have to do with Israelite thought? What does it have to do with the Torah? It has nothing to do with it. But when we look at Lines of Israel, ISUPK, and all these other titles and these groups and organizations, they have everything to do with Israel. That's why I'm always going to be contrary against RBG.
Are you sure? Because I can show you what the double star is a Masonic symbol. I can show you what a motherfucking the double cross swords is a Masonic. Are you sure? Because if you want to go there, we're gonna go there.
But
so why you defend you? But it don't matter. But that has nothing to do. Those things have nothing to do with Israel.
Points.
They're very big. They're very big points because if you're talking about linking yourself, what it links yourself to. Let's go back to Aleister Crowley and what Aleister Crowley. Let's go back to Albert Pike. Let's go back to what it's linked to.
These are called diversion tactics.
It's not diversion tactic. That's not diversion tactic.
You did get on us because
one second. D-Red, D-Red, I'm gonna come back to you. The floor is yours. I'm gonna come back to you, but Divine just came in. So if y'all brothers don't mind, and D-Red, I'm gonna come right back to you because the floor is yours. I don't want to cut your thought. Just hold your thought 1 second. I want to give the brother Safaya, aka Divine Prospect, he's in here. I want to give him a chance to come in, introduce himself, tell the people where they can find him. What is his stance on being RBG? And once he speaks, D-Red, I'm gonna come right back to you, my lord. I promise. All right. So Ron Divine Prospect, introduce yourself, let the people know what your stance is on this topic.
All right, shalom. Appreciate that, Priest Danyaahla. Thanks for the invite on Maccabeestv. It's been a while since I've been here, but I'm gonna try to be more familiar because I want to support platforms like this that actually gives a voice to the variety of different worldviews that we have. So, you know, y'all can look me up on Facebook as Divine Prospect. On YouTube is Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. You can check that out as well. I have material on my YouTube channel where I actually discuss, you know, what the RBG Hebrew aspect of that nationalist movement is, what it represents. I'm gonna say a few things real quick, and then I'll pass on the mic because I want to hear the continuing dialogue, and then I'll jump in whenever I'm allowed to. But in regards to the RBG Hebrew and my stance in regards to that, one of the major factors that actually enticed me to consider the RBG element of so-called quote-unquote Black nationalistic movement, and we know Black is a byword, we can see that as being Israelites of Negro descent, was looking at Wentworth Matthews, studying Wentworth Matthews and Josiah Ford, who are two founding fathers of the Israelite movement here in America, who both also joined the UNIA, and they were also active members in the UNIA. The flag element of it that has to do with the colors that we're discussing right now, this has to do with a response to an actual really racist song that came out in 1900 called "Every Race Has a Flag But the Coon." And when you listen to that song itself, you can just put it on YouTube and type it in, you can see it. You can see that pretty much what it's saying is that the so-called Negro is an entity that does not have an identity. There's nothing that represents him because he's property. He's chattel property to his overlords. And all he can wish is being a coon, in a sense where trying to unite himself with an ethnic group that is not his. And in doing so, he can align himself with their flag, but he would have to be a coon in order to do that. He'd have to sell his people out. He had to think that he's that other ethnic group, and he would have to abandon his own indigenous identity to assume the identity of another nation, ethnic group, or people in order for him to have any degree of relevance in society. So when that actual song came out, it was stirring up a lot of controversy because a lot of the so-called blacks and Negroes at that time, they were not unified. All right. And we talking about 1900. So now we have a situation where Marcus Garvey, not just Marcus Garvey himself, who was the chairman of the UNIA-ACL, but there were other board members as well that came together with him to create a network, an organized network of individuals in the diaspora who they considered to be in the African diaspora to link together. So that way they are organized and unified, and they can be able to themselves recreate the resources that was lacking from their community by coming together. Marcus Garvey himself was a professed Catholic, and there were other Christians that was also in his UNIA-ACL movement, but there was also Muslims, and there were Israelites that were also part of this movement. Now, when you go and look in the UNIA had a conference at Madison Square Garden in August 13th to August 16th. I think those were the days that the conference was commencing in 1920. They adopted the red, black, and green colors that then became the flag. All right. The reference for that is the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples around the world. All right. Now, Marcus Garvey himself was interviewed in the African Times and Orient Review, and he was interviewed on several things. But one of the things came up in regards to the flag, which was established a year prior. And he said, "Show me the race or the nation without a flag, and I will show you a race of people without any pride. I, in song and mimicry, they have said every race has a flag but the coon. How true, I, but that was said of us years ago. They can't say it now." So what he understood was that this was just a launching pad in order to get us in the mindset of unification and also in a mindset of organization. So that way we can work amongst ourselves to aggregate the necessary resources in order to build ourselves up. Now, what does any of this have to do in regards to our advanced movement or the things that we're trying to accomplish? Well, Robert Hill, who is a historian, he's also a Marcus Garvey scholar, he said that Marcus Garvey patterned his thinking on the other nationalist movements at the time. So he was researching to see, how these other grassroots systems and peoples were trying to establish themselves with their identity, because it was lost due to oppression, it was lost due to imperialism, etc. So, at that time in its infancy, you had the Jewish Zionist movement in its infancy, right? You know about the Balfour Declaration and so forth. But it wasn't until later on that it became a state in the land of Canaan that was called Israel today. He looked at the Russian Revolution, imperialism in China, and the fighting that was going against there, and also the Irish struggle for independence. And that's also a very entrenched history. But he was looking at all of these various movements, and he said, man, we don't really have anything here with the limited resources and knowledge that we have here in Americas or on the Western Hemisphere that we see, or he studied as a model to see what was being done with all these other groups. And he realized they were unified, they were organized, and they had one common denominator, and they utilized that in order for them to wage a revolution. And this was the mindset of Marcus Garvey at the time. Now, again, we have a situation where the UNA members all were not one faction in regards to their theological perspective, which means you had Israelites, you had Muslims, you had Christians, but none of the individuals that were coming together were there to discuss theology. They were not there to discuss their worship of God. They was not there to say, hey, look, you need to be this or you need to be that. They simply came together for socio-political purposes, And the objective was, how can we aggregate enough resources through unity, through diplomacy, through tact, and through organization, so that each respective tribe or community can have the resources that they need, and we can get it amongst ourselves, and we don't have to patronize the oppressor outside of who we are. So all it is a concept and an idea that even though you may not be an Israelite, you know that I'm an Israelite, and that's not going to change. I know you may be a Christian, but you know what? You, in my eyes, you're a lost Israelite, but you have resources that we need. For example, if you have a venue, a huge venue, and I'm looking at your venue and saying, man, you know what? We renting everything out from who some will call Esau, whatever the case may be. Man, here's a brother. He's a lost Israelite, but he's an Israelite nonetheless. He may be a Christian, but guess what? He has a venue that we can use. And I will know at the end of the day, when I lay my head down and go to sleep, that my conscience won't bother me, that I was able to patronize that brother, as opposed to going to who I perceive to be the oppressor and requesting their resources in order to benefit my community. There's only but so much that they're going to be willing to do to empower us, for us to be a nation as far as Israel. The last point I want to make, and I'll pass the mic off until it's my turn again, is that we are a scattered people in captivity outside of our land. We are no longer sovereign. We don't have a manufacturing plant. We don't have an army. We don't have our own hospital. We don't have our own resources in regards to gold, silver, natural mineral resources. We don't have any of these things. The best, we may have some farmland here. We may have a little land there, but we don't have an allodial title over these pieces of land that we are simply only the occupants of, or the residents of. So therefore, we have to work to say, listen, if we're going to keep calling ourselves a nation as being Israel, because technically we're not a nation. We don't have none of the things that a nation have. We don't even have a GDP as a community as a whole. You know, we don't even have an association. We don't even have a diplomatic embassy anywhere. We don't have any of these things to call ourselves a nation. But if we're going to acquire those resources, then we need to see what is the best way for us to get these resources, pull them into our community. So everything that we're saying that nations have, we can have as a community. If somebody gets sick in the Israelite community, do we have a hospital that we can point them to? Do we have a healthcare plan that we can offer them? Do we have anything that we can provide to them that's systematic and institutional for our community only? Because if we don't have that, and there's other people that we view or identify as lost Israelites, then that means we should at least patronize them, because in working with them, we can put them in contact with what it is that we subscribe to. Just like at a job, what we call a slave job. When you go to work every day, these are people that you're dealing with that has nothing to do with the nation of Israel. Because somebody can simply say to you, hey, why don't you start your own business and become an entrepreneur? Why are you going to work working with that Muslim, with that Christian, with that person who hates the Most High? Why would you go to a slave job and do something like that? You should be an entrepreneur. But that's not realistic. Everybody can't do that at this current time. So it would be asinine to say that we need to leave everybody else alone and only work with Israel when we are scattered in captivity in another nation. And even when people point to the curses, we're going to be in want for certain resources. Why? Because our forefathers disobeyed, and now we've been scattered into a place where we have no sovereign capacity to operate. Therefore, in order for us to have any degree of breathing room and preservation, we must work amongst ourselves and reach out to foreign nations that's willing to supply us with the necessary resources, who have a shared common denominator in oppression like we do, so we can actually build ourselves up into what we deem as a nation. And with that, I'll hand over the mic.
So I want to go back to D-Red, because D-Red had the floor, but I want to say something to you, Devon, real quick. I want to go back to D-Red. After D-Red, I'm going to go to Brother Mikhail, because he said he got 2 questions. But I want to say this to you, Devon, because you just got on the phone. So I have to say this to you, because I already challenged D-Red on this. I already challenged Brother James Cassell on this, so I'm going to challenge you on this on the same level. We can do all of that. You and I, I'm going to speak about you and I, Brother Devon. We already reach out to other communities that don't claim to be Israelites already. We already do that. Why do we need to take on the name of RBG to do that? We're Israelites. We can reach out to other communities, pool our resources, do all the things that you said, and just be Israel, period. Why do we have to add the name RBG to reach out to other communities? Like, why do we have to do that? Because ain't nobody adding Israel to their titles. So I'm asking you specifically, Brother Divine, why do we need to add the name RBG to the name the Most High already gave us to do all the things that you just said that we could do without adding the name RBG?
Gotcha. So RBG, again, it's not an identity in a sense where it's like, okay, well, we're RBG culturally and we're also Israel. You know, RBG, again, it's like being a part of an association, right? A club, any kind of group. So the RBG element, it just means that we are affiliated with other so-called Black organizations that have resources that we need, and they can identify us simply off of that, and we can identify them simply off of that. And we know that we have a common denominator. So when we come together, we're not talking about what you worship and who you follow and whatever the case may be. We're at the table saying, listen, my community or my tribe, we need resources. There's resources that you have, and there's resources that we have. And we can exchange those resources so we can better our respective communities. Then we can do so under this guideline of RBG and not have it to be in a sense where, okay, you have to be Israel in order for me to patronize your resources, or I got to be some other whatever, you know, misnomer they want to place on you in order to get your resources. So all it is an association. It's like joining a club or being part of an organization. It has nothing to do with your identity as being a bloodline lineage Israelite. It has nothing to do with that. So again, it's just understanding that some of the forefathers of our movement joined the UNIA because they understood the benefits of building our community. And they had no problem identifying with being part of UNIA or the RBG flag because they understood the benefits that came along with it. Yes, we can possibly get all this together within our community, but right now, we don't have the resources to do that right now. When we get to a point where we're sovereign enough, where we have everything that we need, then we don't have to intrinsically deal with any other group, meaning that we even have to continue to don the RBG nomenclature because we have everything in our community, but we don't have that right now at this moment.
Fair enough. D-Red, I want to give you back the floor, Lord. I apologize. I know I interrupted you in the midst of your speech, and it tells us in the book of Sirach not to do that, but I just wanted to get my brother Divine caught up because he just got on the phone. So I'm going to give you back the floor, brother. Hopefully you remember where you were. You could continue your, you know, where you what you were speaking about. And after that, brother Mikael, I saw you. I'm going to bring you back in. So go ahead, D-Red.
No, all I was just saying was people keep trying to say basically what the negative connotation of some of the symbolism of what the RBG, the group still have latched on to the flag. You see what I'm saying? Because these people have taken this, because I already know what people go, I already know, when you think 2 steps, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 moves ahead, I already know what people are going to say. But if I take you to the Star of David by William Dankenbring, he'll tell you the Masonic book called The Second Mile in the Eastern Star Book reveals that the 6-pointed star is a very ancient symbol, one of the most powerful. The hexagram is used in magic, witchcraft, sorcery, and occultism, and the casting of zodiacal horoscopes by astrologers. It is considered to possess mysterious powers, says the concise Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. The 6-pointed star is used as a standby for magicians and alchemists. The sorcerers believed it represented the footprints of the special kind of demon called the Truid, and is used in ceremonies both to call up demons and to keep them away. O.J. Graham, The 6-Pointed Star, Puritan Library, 1988, page 35. So before you come telling me anything, deal with that.
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Again.
No. Again,
what? Just shoot. Let him finish.
Again, no, because what I'm trying to show is y'all. I'm not even gonna say y'all, but I'm gonna say if you want to criticize, this is part of the reason. This is part of the reason why when we say if we're gonna drop symbols, drop them all. If you're gonna drop titles, drop them all. Because if I get to digging, I can find something with every symbol that is used in any Israelite camp. Because that's what I do. I dig. If I want to, I can find it. So what James offered is the best solution. If you're gonna drop them all. But the problem is, like I said in the group, y'all pick and choose what to do when it's due and it suits you. And it's y'all that don't want to drop no moniker. Because according to Tazariak, he done said y'all need to come back to ISUPK, but don't nobody want to drop their moniker. So again, if before you do that, then you guys need to get on a court and show us how it's done. You know what I'm saying? Show me. Because until you can show me the validity of your beliefs and coming together under one banner, under a One West camp, then I can say, okay, well, maybe them brothers on to something. But as long as y'all fringed up and in fringe groups, because according to ISUPK, ain't none of y'all One West. See, you see how the opinions go? According to ISUPK, none of y'all One West, and ain't none of y'all real Israelites.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me say this. Now I'm gonna bring. I need to bring Mikhail in, and I also want to allow Jeshu to come in. Let me just. And I'm gonna be real fast. Let me say this right. Tazariak knows I respect him. I respect Johanna because Johanna was in the truth before me. Outside of Johanna, nobody in ISUPK got nothing to tell me. I predate all of them. Every last one of them I predate. So I don't give a damn what their opinion is on One West. I know all the leaders in One West. They don't. So that is out the window. It's not opinion. It's not what nobody say. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I predate all of them. So we're not even gonna go there. Now, I'm gonna say this to you, Brother D-Red. There's such a thing called duality. If you're gonna do that with the shield, you gotta do that with the goat. The goat has a positive and a negative connotation in the scriptures, right? The rainbow has a positive connotation in the scriptures and a negative. You could do that with everything in creation. So we're not just gonna do that with the shield and say, oh, well, amazing.
But you can't do that with the RBG flag either.
I didn't interrupt you, Lord. I didn't interrupt you. So we're not gonna start that now. Everything in creation has a duality. You're not going to do that just with the shield and say, well, because ISUPK uses the shield, that no, we're not going to do that, because that goes with everything in creation has a duality. So we're not going to do that. But you know what? I'm not going to dominate the floor. The brother Mikhail been very patient. He's been very quiet. Let's allow him to come in, ask his questions. I'm going to go back to the brother Jeshu, and I'll come back to you, D-Red. I'll come back to you. We're going to do this fair. So brother Mikhail, unmute yourself. Say what you got to say, and I'll come back to you, Jeshu, right after. I'll come back to you, brother D-Red, right after Mikhail. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. I just want to say, brother Ron Divine came and added to it and really added to the clarity of what James and what D-Red had said. So, it was clear to me what he was saying. But at the same time, Danyaahla, man, I love you, right? I got to butter you up because it's something you said, can't let it go. It was something you said. I got to ask you something. And my second question was actually for James. So it was a point that it was, these are 2 points that actually go with the subject good, because where the conversation is going right now. Like when you're talking about the duality of things, like the symbol, the Star of David. I don't rock the Star of David, but I know his brothers that over the years I've seen them use scriptures for, like the pomegranate and things of that nature. I don't see it as the exact same thing, but there's where it comes where, like you said, I believe it's to the level of somebody's understanding. For example, you made a statement earlier, and I was all the way with you when you were saying how, like, Israelites shouldn't be having these titles on them, like Moor. I know Moorish Hebrews. You said you got Israelites who know they Israelites, but they still follow Islam. And then, you named a few things, and then you threw Christian in there. And I'm thinking, like, this is where we have to talk to the level of one's understanding. Because y'all know, when y'all talking to another Israelite and they got certain understanding, you don't have to get so detailed with little stuff. And I know you don't have a problem with the term Christ. You know what I'm saying? But so like in 1 Peter chapter 4:16, it say we should suffer as a Christian. Now, to somebody that's watching, they might say, well, man, what the brothers got a problem? They say Christ, you know what I'm saying? Even if you said it as a generic term, you say Christ to get a message out to the masses. And then when you look in the book, you got Acts 26-28, Acts 11-26. Now that goes back to what y'all was just saying, right? Now, I'm not a part of Christianity. I got series called Christianity Insanity. But according to the book and with my understanding that those original Christians were Israelites, if I'm talking to another brother like you and it came up like, Christian or whatever, I wouldn't have a problem with him. I'd be like, yeah, I'm a Christian. So I think it's with the level of one's understanding that you're talking to, but at the same time, without polluting the original message that was set up by our Israelite forefathers. Do you have a problem with that? And my second question was for James, and then I'll mute.
No, the title Christian, you have to understand something. And you know what I'm saying? And this is a mistake I make, so I accept your correction, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to accept the correction for another. When I speak anti-Christian, I'm talking about anti-post-Nicene Council Christianity, what we call modern Christianity today.
Exactly.
If everybody can mute their mic and everything, because I hear some feedback from somebody, I don't know who it is. So that's what I'm talking about when I speak anti-Christian. I understand that Christianity, or the word Christian, was a moniker that was put on our people by outsiders. We didn't call ourselves Christians. They called us Christians. All right. So I understand that the Christians in the Bible is talking about Israelites. When you suffer as a Christian, you're talking about suffering as a follower of Christ, but you are an Israelite. So I understand all that. I have no problem with that if somebody that I'm speaking to understands that. But the reason why we go so hard, let me speak for myself since I'm speaking. The reason why I go so hard about Christianity, I'm talking about modern Christianity as we know it today. That's what I go hard against, but not the moniker of being a so-called Christian today. Because if you want to be technical, I could be classified as that right now. And as a matter of fact, some of my Torah-based brothers and sisters that might be in the chat, that might be watching right now, they love to call me a Christian. I keep more Torah than 90% of them dudes. You know what I'm saying? But they'll call me a Christian because I believe in the New Testament. So I understand the difference, Lord. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah.
Okay, that certainly did. Now I could go to James, because see, that was perfect setup. Now see, I knew that was gonna be your answer. I didn't know that was gonna be your answer because we actually talked about it per se, but it was because I already knew your understanding. It's just like, we didn't feel like we got to go through the need and get into a breakdown where the outsiders called us this, and then we go to a long debate. Was it ever a byword to us? Did it mean earth pig? All that type of stuff. Or was we better off just saying messianic, but we know they derive from the same thing technically and all of that. So we knew that it's the level of understanding. Now that brings us to where we at right now on this panel. When they was breaking down the RBG thing, right? And they was saying how well it started, and I did hear D-Red say, and James, and I believe Ron said that most of the, or at least a portion of the original founders of the RBG were conscious Israelites. Not just dead Israelites, but Israelites who knew that they were Israelites. That was always my understanding, that most Marcus Garvey's top lieutenants were well-known Hebrew Israelites. And so that brings me to James' point. James, you brought up a good point, and I actually heard you say this in the chat too, and it had me thinking. And so when you came back, you were responding to one of the brothers that was in the chat. I don't think he's here right now, so I'm not going to speak his name unless he comes on. But y'all was going back and forth. It was a real good dialogue. And you were saying, well, basically, and kind of D-Red just said it too, drop all the titles, drop the camps, drop all that type of stuff, and just say we Israelites. And y'all restated that here today. But you could take like even an example with that and tell me what you think about this, James. This is in this Mark chapter 3, right? And it's real simple. Mark chapter 3, verse 14, right? And this what it say. Now this the Israelites going out on their mission to kick the gospel, right? It say verse 14, and he ordained 12 that they should be with him, and that he might send them forth to preach, and to have power to heal sickness and to cast out devils. And Simon, he surnamed Peter, and James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of James, and he surnamed them Boanerges, which is the sons of thunder. So he gave them they got ordained a crucial name. Now, sons of thunder would have definitely became a camp. I could hear that right now, man, the sons of thunder. And then you had other instances, the church of such and such and such and such. So although I understood what you were saying, we know that them was Israelites. It wasn't the son of Israelites. They got a smooth title, the sons of thunder, for the work that they was doing. So What you think about that? I'm just asking you, James, what you think about that? Because that was a good point that you made. So
Well,
go ahead.
Well, like I was saying earlier, I think the argument overall, to be honest, is just frankly petty. It deals with like let's go back to Danyaahla understood the difference between the Christian and what he really is, and he understands that people will call him Christian though he's not one, but he understands it's just a misnomer. It's the same thing with the term African. It's what other people call us, whether we recognize ourselves as it or not. It's what they call us. We know everyone calls us it, so I'm not gonna make a big deal arguing with people all day that I'm not African. Just like you ain't gonna make a big deal arguing that you're not a Christian. It's just a pointless argument at the end of the day when fundamentally we believe in all the same things and moving in the same way. Because like you said, we can do everything that, that we're saying doing just under the moniker of Israelite, because you believe in everything we believe in fundamentally. There's no real big argument. It's just an argument over a word.
Okay, I got you.
Let me if I could just bring in Brother Gedaliah, the Most High Television. He said he had a question, so I want to bring him in. I'm gonna go back to Brother D-Red because he's been quiet, and allow him to come in and stuff. My man D-Red be taking shots though, man. I see that. But that's good. I love it. I'm ready. So Brother Gedaliah, unmute yourself. Ask your question.
All right. Now I'm sitting back listening to the dialogue, and it's a very good discussion. So I'm hearing a few key points that keep being brought out, which is one is the flag. The flag, because we didn't have no flag, so therefore the flag, the RBG flag, was created to give us a flag. And I'm also hearing about the resources to help build the nation. So now I can understand that back in the 1900s we didn't have the flag, so I can see that. But now we actually do have a flag dealing with Israel national sovereignty. That's a flag that represents Israel. My question would be why we can't get up under that flag and work with the RBG.
That's a great, and I'm allowed whoever wants to answer that. That could be Divine, that could be Brother James Cassell, that could be D-Red, because y'all brothers are pro RBG. That's a great question. That's kind of what I've been asking. I'm like, why can't we just deal with Israel and have a relationship with brothers that claim to be RBG? Why do we have to claim it? So who wants to take that question?
I'll just say this real quick, and then D-Red can come in. I've already said multiple times, I'm down for it. Let's drop it all. Let's come up with our own banner, and let's just stick to that. I'm cool with that.
D-Red.
It's the programs I'm concerned with.
Brother D-Red, go.
I mean, like I said, at this particular point, I mean, we've said it ad nauseum. We don't have, like, we're not, see, but the people got to start realizing who's beholden to what. See, when y'all keep trying to say y'all are beholden to this, y'all are beholden to the RBG, y'all are beholden, we ain't tripping. But it's when it's time for us to say, why don't y'all drop y'all's? Y'all are the ones that's beholden to y'all's flags and y'all's camps, not us. We don't care. We're like, okay, well, fine, let's drop it. Let's all drop it, and let's just come up under the banner of Israel. But nobody else is saying that. See, and that's what people got to pay attention. Who's more beholden to what? And that's just the end of that. It's not
wait a minute. Wait. D-Red, are you serious? You sitting there looking at me. I'm talking to you. You're looking at me. You're telling me I'm beholden to a title. You look at the way I move. You're telling me.
I'm not. I didn't say a title. I said a flag. A moniker. Who's more? We done said it many times. Let's drop all of it and just come up under just Israel. That means no more lines of Israel, no more RSUBK, no more AOC, no more GOCC, no more none of that.
Brother, let me say this, right? Okay. I think Jeshua, I'm gonna let you speak because you said that was a fault. What did you say, Jeshua? Go ahead, Jeshua. Say that again.
It was a false equivalency. What he's doing, because at the end of the day, the UNIA, what does that have to do with Israel? These different groups and camps, the main focal point of these camps was to restore Israel. UNIA, their point and purpose had nothing to do with bringing back the 12 tribes.
Who were they trying to bring up and restore then? Can you tell me who those people are?
All I'm hearing is commerce. It's all about economics.
I'm asking you right now, when the UNIA was founded, It was founded about bringing up a particular people up on a social, economic, and political means. Who were those people?
But were they bringing them back to the consciousness?
No,
James, hold on. You asked the question. Were they bringing them back to the consciousness of being Israelites, back to their nationality? Was that the main focal point? That's the main focal point for ISUPK, One West, and the other various camps. That's the difference.
We're talking about rising a people up on a social, economic, and a political level. We're not talking about.
You know how many times we've been at the forefront in economics plenty of times in history. We know this, right? Did that help us
as a nation?
Yes, as a nation. Yes, in history, you know this. In the Middle Ages.
Oh, you talking about
in history. Right now, we're not talking about. And we still fail as a people because the main point is that our people come back to the Torah and repent.
Okay.
All the other stuff
if you want to bring up history, now we can go in that. In Carthage, what did they go by? Are you telling me they went by Israelites?
But Carthage was crushed by Rome. Why was Carthage crushed by Rome? Maybe all this amalgamation is the problem.
What were they saying?
Maybe too much amalgamation is the problem, man.
Okay, look, I'm just saying. You said we're gonna go to ancient times, so I'm thinking about all these names, monikers, and banners we went under in ancient times, while still recognizing that we're Israel. And now all of a sudden we're in modern times, and everyone's tripping like we don't have a long history of doing this.
Yeah, we have a long history, but we kept screwing up. Ahab joined as Idonian.
We kept screwing up. Wait, hold on. Other practices, not
exactly. But that's going to happen. A lot of these people that deal with the RBG banner, they hate God. They hate the idea of Torah.
That's them. We're not. Look, we're part of RBG. We're a RBG.
Wait. I just want to. I'm sorry, James. Let me just say something real quick. When you, I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. I'm going to say to Joshua, when you say that they hate God, does that mean that they are truly RBG? Do they represent RBG if they hate God, according to the tenets of the UNIA ACL?
One God, one aim, one destiny.
Wait, hold on, D-Red. I'm asking Joshua. Joshua.
Wait, I'm still here.
Yeah, ask you a question.
Well, I mean, that's an argument you have to take up with those people.
No. Because
this goes back to the people in RBG, they vehemently hate God. So it's like you want to join with these type of people, but at the end of the day, when we look at history and our forefathers, they did the same mistake, and it led to our downfall. For some reason, you brothers think
there are people, bro.
It doesn't matter if there are people or not.
So the question is, if these people or other organizations, if they hate God, but they want to rep RBG, then what I kindly do is remind them of all of the works that Marcus Garvey has written, the official declarations that the UNI ACL has written, where it states that if you hate God in any way, shape, form, or capacity, you are not RBG. The Kemetic community did not exist when Marcus Garvey established the UNIA, ACL, and the red, black, and green flag. They were not here on the scene. So if they want to co-opt and use those colors to identify with, hey, they can do whatever they want. Somebody can go around saying they're Israel, but have a doctrine that has nothing to do with the scriptures. We can't stop people from doing what they're doing. I'm saying ultimately, if they say that they're coming in the same vein as Marcus Garvey, but say that they hate God, quote unquote, then they're not representing Marcus Garvey. They're not representing the RBG flag either. They're not representing the UNI ACL. They're not representing any of that.
I hear you, but you entangle yourself with these people.
No. So let me ask you a question. If you're not an entrepreneur, you entangle yourself with people every day by going to work. Because you're dealing with people who are cursing, people who blaspheme God, people who have different religions, different ideologies. You do that every day. If anybody was 100% gung-ho on saying that, they would be an entrepreneur and they would not be working with these other people. And their customers will only be Israelites. Now, you show me how many people that's actually living.
I have to live in this world, so I have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with that on my off time.
So what we're doing with RBG is we're trying to get the resources so you can do what you're doing. If you come out here to Atlanta, we can get you grants to start businesses. And you know how I'm able to funnel that into the Israelite community? Via RBG, working with other people, other organizations, so-called black organizations who do not identify as an Israelite, but they're not even worried whether I'm an Israelite or not. It's the simple fact that there's a common denominator that we can come to the table and discuss shared resources that we can utilize to build our communities. So therefore, I can help enable people who say, oh, we shouldn't deal with no other nations by giving them a grant, saying, hey, start your own business so you don't have to work with anybody who blasphemes Israel.
And I just want to add to this that, man, I don't see how they don't realize like it's not good to live in like two different worlds. Because to me, in my mind, it's like living in two different worlds to say that on my own time at work, I'm in one world, and on my off time, I'm in a whole nother world.
Well, the scriptures say that. The scriptures tell you, I can't take you out of this world. We have to live in it. We're in captivity. But I'll be damned if I come home and then I'm going to deal with this. Like you made the statement earlier, you fill out an application, you put African. I'm not going to come home and subscribe to that. Hell no.
But like I said, you understand what it means in one world. So don't go home and act like you forgot what the hell it means in the world you normally live in day to day and spend most of your time in.
I know what it means in the world. It means bullshit. That's what it means.
Oh,
it's fake.
man. But it meant your ass on your resume, but it didn't mean you when you go home and got off of work.
It doesn't represent me on the resume. Man. The scriptures tell us, does not the scriptures tell us to be wise as a serpent?
I understand who the scriptures say I am. But I also understand I live here and now, and every day.
A serpent's able to blend in, right?
Every day, 24/7, I'm right here in America.
But James, I want you to understand that's not a fair assessment. And you can also put other on the paper. And the scriptures tell us to be wise as a serpent.
You could, but you don't because you know what it means.
So we're using
excuses.
This ain't no excuses, D-Red. D-Red, the only person been making excuses is you, man.
Hey, look, but you know
you still haven't produced anything about the UNIA and how it benefits the restoration of the 12 tribes. I haven't yet to see that. But I see ISUPK doing that, LOI doing that.
They're doing. Hold on, they doing it under what? Under what banner? The 501c3 banner?
No, we're not. We're not. Because wait. No. Hold up. No. Because you've been throwing shots since yesterday. So
I'm throwing shots.
No, because you said 501c3. You mentioned. Wait, I'm gonna let you have the floor.
Go ahead.
You mentioned more than one camp, and you keep throwing that 501c3 out there. Lions of Israel does not have a 501c3. So if you're gonna say something, make sure that you're specific to what he asked you. That's all I'm gonna say. You have the floor, brother.
He didn't ask me nothing.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Okay, well, why would you say that?
I said that based upon what he said because, for one, people keep using Africa as a nation. That's not a nation. You said it's a continent. Basic common sense. So that's first of all. So if you want to talk a false equivalency, that's a false equivalency because you talk about yourself with a nation. No, but do you use it? Do you use it?
I don't.
All right. On your application, you don't use it.
That has nothing to do with it.
It's not, bro.
Yes, it do.
Wait.
Yes, it do. Yes, it do.
D-Red, it's not on the application. It asks you if you black or
African American.
African American. That's not asking you African, like continental African.
Okay, African American.
Come on, man. Jesse Jackson nonsense.
Come on, man.
What is the African?
But do we use it? Come on, man.
That's a minuscule point.
It is. I have to.
Y'all got more excuses than a nigga going to jail.
The excuses coming from y'all because y'all making bullshit ass points.
Brothers, if y'all can hold up 1 second, I'm gonna come right back to everybody. I see another brother that came into the room, and I did invite him because Captain Cesario couldn't make it. So if y'all brother could just give a moment, and I'm gonna unmute all y'all brothers. I know if anybody has something they want to say that they haven't had a chance to speak, we definitely gonna get it in. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the mighty Hebrew in the room. I invited him in because Captain Cesario couldn't make it, and he inboxed me and asked me could he come on. And I want his perspective as being, because most of us on the phone, and as a matter of fact, all of us on the phone, we are basically Israelites that accept the New Testament. He's a Torah-centered Israelite. So just to give the conversation a little bit of balance, I told the brother to come on in. So mighty Hebrew, if you could unmute your mic, introduce yourself, and let everybody know what is your perspective on being a RBG Hebrew.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Can y'all hear me?
Game, go ahead.
Hallelujah. First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh. the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness, Nick. I say into the family, Shalom Aleichem, Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism rising. First and foremost, so the family will know I'm not an RBG Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Hebrew Israelite sovereign national. I'm one that acknowledges that our colors come by the way of the Torah Constitution. I do not acknowledge the colors of the red, the black, and the green, but I do understand the history and the evolution by the way of Marcus Garvey, and even before Marcus Garvey, these colors existed in the Medo-Persian Empire. We'll get into that if we have to, but it's very important for us to come back nationally by the way of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. As you can see, the flag that's in the back of me, which is red, white, blue, purple, and gold, gold being our mineral, and you can see the 12 stones for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, and then you also see the menorah, and in the back of the, on top of the menorah, you see the Creator's name in Paleo-Hebrew. Real fast, if possible, I would like to read something to the family, if y'all wouldn't mind. I wrote a couple of notes to go to the scripture where y'all can find these colors at, because a lot of times people ask me, well, where do y'all get y'all colors from? And it's all throughout the scripture, mainly in the book of Shemot or Exodus, chapter 36, going all the way to chapter 39. You'll clearly see the tabernacle colors, which was red, which was the scarlet, white, which is the linen, the purple, and the gold. So let me see. Okay, I see now. So it's very imperative that we come back to our colors. And also, if we speak scientifically, colors bring forth different moods. You see what I'm saying? Even when you look at when people say that it means red, meaning the blood, the black, the people, and the green, which is the land, but originally it didn't even mean them things. And then if you go to Esther chapter 1, you'll clearly see in the Xerxes palace, the Medo-Persians represented, the red, the black, and the green. So as well as the Babylonians, which were Cushites, and in fact, we're not Cushites, we're of the Shemitic line. So it's very important for us not to gravitate to these other nations' colors, because as we all know, they haven't been effective for us. And if we're moving as Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationals, you have to have 5 keys to be a 5/5 component, so you don't fall victim to the 3/5 straw man that's outlined in Article 1, Section 2, subparagraph 3, U.S. Constitution. You need a mind, soul, body, a constitution, which the Torah is the Constitution, and a divine creed, and you need a nationality, which we know is Beta Yisrael, or Hebrew Israelite, which we put or emphasize Hebrew Israelite sovereign national. So it is important for us now to step across the threshold with this whole African concept and go back to strictly, Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, because even when we study etymology of this word Africa, we know if we're going to talk about, quote unquote, the children of afar, then we talking about the children by the way of Midian, going back to Abraham's grandson. You see what I'm saying? The Afarites. And if we're not descendants of them, then we're not Africans, because the root word for Africa is afar, which means soil or dust. When you go into Bereshit or Genesis chapter 2:7, we see that word in the Ivrit, in the Niquidah, in the Ivrit or the Hebrew grammar for dust or soil. But it still doesn't define to us a nationality or a national origin. And anything besides a national origin is a byword. When you go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36 to 37, the Most High outlines it specifically that we would come into a strange land and worship these people's deities, their gods, by the way of their social constructs, and lose our identity. And by that, anything else is a byword. So if we're calling ourselves Africans, gods, Asiatics, all these terms is bywords. It's no way to get around it if we're identifying ourselves some way, somehow with that. And in turn, when you label yourself something that's defining property, then, you know, you put yourself in a situation where you can't get out of. So it's important that we come under Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. Don't matter what camp you're involved in, none of that. You know, this is what I've been teaching for years and years and years. It's time now to dissolve all these post-Torah thought processes that will separate us as a nation. Now, let me just make this clear before I stop what I'm saying. I'm not going to sit here and say there's something wrong with camps, because it's not. Everything is necessary. Whether if you're in a camp, you're not in a camp, you're in a congregation, or you're in a movement, whatever, everything is necessary. So even if you have different camps, camps can have their banners, camps can have, you know, their ensigns, but there has to be some type of national or international ensign that you see in Psalms chapter 60, verse 4. And in that retrospect, we can manifest amongst the world powers a government in exile. And the only way to be a government in exile, we have to have a court. We have to have an established court or a Sanhedrin, a Supreme Court Sanhedrin that will govern all the Israelite camps all over the world when it comes to capital offenses. We're already in the land of Israel. This is where we need to be gearing ourselves to more and more, shedding ourselves from these concepts, because quiet as is kept, when we study the whole thing that went on during the UNIA, and you study up on Arnold Josiah Ford, Matthews and all those, at the end, you know, Arnold Josiah Ford and Marcus Garvey, they ran into a lot of beef. In the end, a lot of things that were going on in the UNIA movement, Israelites wasn't getting credit. The schematics, the whole governmental structure was created by Israelites. The whole schematics and blueprint was put together by Arnold Josiah Ford, as well as him being the musical director.
Brother Mike, really.
You see what I'm saying? 1 second. Mighty Hebrew.
Yes.
Duarte, thank you, brother. I'm gonna come back to you. I just want to allow everybody to come in. I got another brother that's on the phone right now. My brother Rakal Karath. I want him to come in, unmute himself. I want him to say a few words, and then afterwards, I'll give anybody that has a that wants to rebuttal what Mighty Hebrew said. You can feel free, brother Rakal Karath. The floor is yours, Lord. Say what you want to say.
Shalom, brothers. I just recently joined. I heard a few things in bits and pieces. I'm gonna start with what I heard a while back. I'm not sure what the brother's name was or who it was who spoke about Israel at one time having finances as a nation and being set up in that respect. And the brother was right. There are times in our history when we were set up as a nation, whether we knew we were Israel or not, but we were set up as a nation and we had finances. So I say that to bring us up to today. When you look at our people today, finances is definitely not our problem. It's a well-known fact in America that not even the nation of Israel, but just so-called Negroes alone have umpteen hundreds of millions of dollars worth of buying power in this country per year. So finances is not our problem. Our problem is definitely spiritual. So I'm going to leave that there. Our problem is spiritual, not financial. Sure, we do need finances to help move our nation in the right direction, but the basis of our problem is spiritual. So the remedy to our problem must be spiritual. As far as what the brother Mighty Hebrew was just elaborating on in terms of colors, now, and he said something else about us uniting and having a Sanhedrin and so forth and so on. Now, see, as far as I read the scriptures, as far as I understand, I think that's getting a little ahead of ourselves, because when you look at brothers today, quite frankly, I don't know if there's any man that is righteous enough to lead us as a nation, straight up and down. The scriptures tell us that the gathering of the people is going to be to Yahushua, and that his glory will not be given unto another man. No, the scriptures tell us that no man will save us. So meaning gather us together and get us out of these conditions. So that Sanhedrin that you speak of, when we read the scriptures, that 144,000 that is established in the kingdom will be a Sanhedrin. Right now, I do think camps are extremely useful because most of the people that's teaching, whether they're YouTube learners or whatever the case, mostly everybody that knows their Israel learned from hearing it from a camp somewhere. Learned from hearing it from somebody that was part of a body or whatever the case. But the camps, definitely, that's how the Most High reaches the highways and the byways, by brothers going out on the streets, forming camps, forming congregations, and going out and getting this word out. So that's extremely important. But in order for us to move and progress as a nation, we must come back to the tenets of the Most High through repentance. I heard somebody allude to that earlier, and that is most definitely the answer. The red, black, and green, trying to unite under some colors. If you can show red, black, and green in the scriptures, then we can unite under that. You know, there are things that national symbols that united us as a nation. When you read the scriptures, you had, for instance, olive trees that united us as a nation. You had different flowers like the lily, different things that fringes or whatever the case. You had different things that united us as a nation, different symbols. I heard the brother say earlier that if he searched hard enough, he could probably find a negative connotation to every symbol that we use as camps on the streets. Well, I don't know, man. I think you'd have a hard time finding a negative connotation for something like a menorah. And that's a national symbol for us as a nation. We use the menorah. So to find a negative connotation for all symbols that we use as a nation and that we use as camps, I don't know about that. Uniting under some colors that's not even found in the scriptures, I don't know about that either. I think that we need to keep moving and try to find a way to work together for the betterment of us as a nation. But at the end of the day, there's only one truth, and we must unite under that. And I'll end with that.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So now I want to allow, because a lot of brothers didn't have a chance to speak. So I don't know, D-Red, James Cassell, Divine Prospect, any of y'all want to come in? And I know Mighty Heat, anybody want to come in?
I just got something to say. Oh,
okay. Who was that? James, you want to say something real quick, and then I'll just
I'll just say it real quick.
James can go, then Divine go, and I can follow you, Divine.
Okay.
All right. Well, what I wanted to say was, on one note, I mean, the brother was saying about finances not being an issue. Though we may, make a lot of money, we spend all the money we make. We don't pass on generational wealth. We don't build any factories or anything. We don't have any hospitals. So money is a big issue in our community. And we do need to provide those services for our community. We're not asking people to join under the RBG banner to do anything. We're not asking people to join under the movement or anything like that. We are about Israel first. We're about Torah first. But we understand that our community have needs. And just because people don't identify with Torah the way we identify with Torah doesn't mean we don't have needs. Don't mean we don't supply needs to our people who don't know their Israel. I don't see how that makes any sense. But I yield the mic.
All right, cool. So I agree with all of that. One of the things that my brother Jashub was saying is that the focus should be on Israel. Well, the focus is on Israel. I think everybody here who
Divine, 1 second. I'm sorry. Moderators, I made a couple of y'all moderators, y'all asked me, if you see people going off on the comment boards saying stupid stuff that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, being disrespectful to people, kick them the hell out, block them out, block them. You have our permission, block them. All right, go ahead, Devon.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying is that, the mission is always our community. Anybody who says that the RBG element is being utilized you know, like I said, again, in order for us to get resources to build ourselves as a nation, all those individuals teach Torah. All those individuals raise up Israelites. All those Israelites individuals to their community. All of them have their own congregations out of our community to funnel the resources that they have back into our community. So that is the most important thing to take from this. For example, me, I have my own organization. I'm part of a larger congregation, and I work with other Israelite brothers, whether they do have camps or whether they have their own organizations, ministry, whatever the case may be. I work with them. We all teach Torah. We all are doing things for our community. So the RBG element is a diplomatic emblem that we utilize so that way we can work with other organizations that's willing to work with us, who we see as lost Israelites that have resources that we can aggregate back into our community. It has nothing to do with a theology. It does not change the nature of our inheritance. It does not change the nature of our culture. Our culture doesn't change because of RBG. That's like people here. I don't know how many of y'all vote in here, but if any of y'all go to the polls and vote, you're either going to be Democratic, you're going to be Republican, you're going to be independent. Does that mean you're no longer an Israelite because you're voting? Some of y'all may not vote. But then if that's the case, then none of y'all should complain about anything that's going on in your community if you don't vote. So if I vote for a candidate, none of those candidates that we voting for are Israelites, meaning professing Israelites, where they're going to represent our community and our community only. That's not what's going on. And it's mostly because we don't put those people in positions to be diplomats, to be tactful, and to know how to maneuver in order for us to get what we need in our community. So we are fighting with one hand tied behind our back, both feet tied together, hopping, simply because we're saying, well, we're just going to stick with Israel and only work with Israel, which we're already doing. And we're closing ourselves out to anybody else that may have resources. And I'll say this last thing, and I'll give it to D Red. And then just shoot, if you want to respond, I would love to hear what y'all.
Divine, sorry. Yo, why? Listen, we're having a conversation. Why, moderators, I'm talking to y'all. Why did I have to go and block somebody just now? Brothers and sisters that I made moderators, I made a few of y'all moderators. We're not looking at the chat. I happen to look at the chat. I see disrespect going on to the brother Divine. I see disrespect going on to the brother Tazariak, who's not on the phone. I'm asking y'all moderators, if you see disrespect, block them. Go ahead, Divine. Go ahead, Divine. You good.
Appreciate it. So the bottom line, what I'm saying is there are affiliations that we have in various aspects of life. Some individuals here may have their own trucking company, right? Some people in here may be in a medical field. Some people in here may be professional. You may be a lawyer, maybe a doctor, you may be whatever you may be in a professional field, and you may have to join an organization to work with other people as it pertains to your career. You make that choice to do that. Are you any less of an Israelite because you are utilizing your career and your associations to benefit the resources you can bring back to our community? Why would I have a beef with you as it pertains to that? You're not going to worship with these people. You're not going to say, oh, let's go burn some incense together. Let's do this. You're not doing any of those things. You're only dealing with it from a socio-political and economic perspective. And that's what the RBG element represents. It's not for everybody in Israel to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to identify with this association. No. There's some of us that are more diplomatic than others, and we can utilize that as an association in order for us to get through certain channels, to get certain resources, then bring it back to our community. This is not saying that everybody in Israel should do this. Just like everybody can't go on a street corner and teach, everybody can't go in academia and put out dissertations and scholarly works and books and so forth. Everybody has a role to play. Those of us who are like I said, are associating with red, black, and green, we say we are going to be the diplomats. If you call yourself a nation, but you got no diplomats, but some people say, well, you don't have to be part of that association in order to be diplomatic. You're correct. But if you are part of that association, you can do certain things that people who are attempting to be diplomats cannot do. You can get a little bit further. So this is why we have to support certain elements that brothers and sisters are doing in our community to say, hey, look, if that's your lane, that's your role, and I see something material manifesting from what it is that you're engaging in, and at the same time, you still stand on Torah and your identity as Israel at the end of the day, then yo, more power to you, because you know what? You're dealing with an organization that can help our community with foreclosures. We have Israelites right now, and they contact me all the time, that are homeless, that are on the street. And some of them are so hard-headed, they'll say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to stay in so-and-so because a Christian owns it. And I'm like, so you're going to be on the street simply because a Christian, that they're actually giving you stipends to live in? That's how serious it is sometimes, because some of our people get so enclosed and isolated that they are doing it at the detriment of other people that are relying on them, other people that count on them. So what I'm saying is, hey, look, if they don't want to do that, that's fine. I'll go get the resources. They don't have to know where it comes from, and I'll provide it to them. So that way we are able to enable ourselves to be a nation. We should not use that term nation, and we're not building the same resources that every other ethnic group, even outside of their native land or here in America, are able to erect all of these infrastructures and buildings and have all these resources. But yet we say we're a nation. They look at us and say, y'all a nation? Really? Y'all got your own hospital? No, you got your own manufacturer? Oh, y'all ain't got that, but you're saying you're a nation. So if we're
Divine, I'm gonna ask you.
Okay,
no,
I'm done.
I'm gonna let you come in. I just want to ask you, because listen, sure. I mean, maybe I'm slow, and probably I'm slow. I probably, but whatever somebody want to say. I heard what you said because you keep saying it. I heard what James said because he keeps saying it. I heard what D read because he keeps saying it. But I'm saying everything that you're saying you could do. You know me, Divine. I do all of that, but I don't call myself an RBG Hebrew. I do everything you said, but I refuse to attach that moniker to my name because I'm Israel. And I don't have to attach that moniker to my name to do what it is that you're saying that we should do. That's my problem. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Divine? Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel you. And again, you're 100% correct on that, Danyaahla, because that's your lane, you know, and you operate well in your lane. But I had made a point earlier, and I'll ask you this personally, and it's not too personal because, you know, very outspoken. But are you a part of any association outside of Israel in any aspect of your life? Whether that's you being part of a political party voting, whether that whatever your day job may be, if your career requires you to be part of an association, a group, or anything, are you part of any association outside of Israel? You don't have to tell me specifically what it is. It's just yes or no.
No, I got you. Based on your question, and I maybe later on I'll think about something I didn't think about right now. The answer is no. Now let me qualify my statement. Do I affiliate? Do I work with other associations outside of Israel? The answer is yes. But am I a part of? Do I claim any organization or association outside of Israel? I don't claim it. I work with a lot of people, political organizations, whatever you want to call it. I do work with them, but I don't claim that title. No.
Gotcha. So if you, and I'll just say this and we can pass it along. So if you were to vote, right? Because I don't know if you vote or not. That's a personal thing unless you want to share it. If you decide to vote and you vote on a particular candidate that's part of a particular political party, would somebody be wrong? Let's say, for example, it's the Democratic Party, right? Would somebody be wrong to say, oh, he's a Democratic Hebrew? Would somebody be wrong in saying that if you vote Democratic and that is what you identify with politically?
Would somebody be wrong in saying that? They would be, well, I mean, I don't vote. So it's kind of a tough question. I don't vote because I feel like there's no difference between the political parties. That shit is just an illusion. You know what I'm saying? No matter who you vote for, it's all the same. So I don't vote. So it's kind of a hard question. So
the what if question.
Can I say something really quick on that?
Go ahead, Ricard, and I want to pass it off to other people. Go ahead, Ricard.
On that, I don't know if you know everybody's reading the same scriptures or not. The scriptures admonish us to come out of America, and part of coming out of America includes our political system. Now, as far as what you said earlier, because it sounds like RBG is like Israelites by day and you double as something else, double as RBG at night. It sounds like you're saying that, you know, you're Israel on the low, but when it comes to dealing in a political form or a social form or an economical forum, you'll use the term RBG. I don't know if that's exactly correct or not, but if that's the case, I don't understand really what the difference is. You're right. If you can get these resources and bring them back to the community, why not utilize it? And know you're no less of an Israelite because you utilize even the other nations to benefit your people. It's nothing wrong with that at all. But in terms of voting, and I think we gotta really watch the line that we walk in. We want to benefit our people, but we want to be friends of the world without being part of the world. If you understand what I mean, we don't want to get too deep into things. You know what I'm saying? Again, the scriptures admonish us to come out of her.
It does admonish us to come out, but I mean, right now we're within, and if you're not making any decisions within your community, you have no right to complain about your community.
We are still under the divine curses, and I do want us to have some type of say so in our communities, but it sounds like brothers want to try to carve them out a little piece of heaven while we still in hell.
Well, no one is saying, hey, you have to go vote. That was never the point. It was a what if question saying that if you did vote and you were Democratic, would someone be saying wrong and saying you're a Democratic Israelite? And we all know the answer is no, because you are a Democrat and you vote Democrat and you are an Israelite. All right.
But should we be voting?
Point of that, because there's no difference in being an RBG. It's more of a political stance than it is a nationality stance. And y'all keep trying to bring it back to something more along theological standpoints and things like that, when it has nothing to do per se with that. It's mainly about the needs, as you agree that is no problem going out and getting those needs and bringing them back.
I think that's a lie. I think it does have some theological implications. And I want to ask.
Just shoot 1 second. Salah.
Was I spoken to? Because I didn't hear it. Peace. How y'all doing?
Hey, shalom, Carl.
I'm about to give you the floor. Israel Doctrine, I'm about to give you the floor. So hold on a second. So I didn't expect the brother to be on, but he got the link somehow, so he's on. So I'm gonna respect the brother and give him a chance to say a few words. Yeshua, I'm gonna come right back to you. After that, I'm gonna go to brother D Red and brother James Cassell and anybody else to have something to say. Brother Israel Doctrine is on the phone. You know, so Israel Doctrine, I'm gonna allow you to speak, brother. I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, and I want you to tell brothers what is your stance on Israelites calling themselves RBG Hebrews. The floor is yours, Lord. Go ahead.
Well, peace, everybody. Most of y'all know me. You're going to have to probably mute yourself because my Mac give off a loud sound. Well, I'm an Israelite nationalist, and that means I deal with all aspects of Israel because they're all a part of the nation of Israel. So my understanding of RBG is, as they said earlier, the red is for the blood, our people blood that was shed throughout the diaspora. Black is for the skin tone, which we know that's a byword that was put on us because of the color of our skin tone. And the green is for the diaspora, all the lands in which we died in. Now, there was some Hamites that died that looked like us, and there was some Israelites that died that looked like Hamites. But that stands for our blood, our skin tone, and the land. So I don't really see people having a problem with being pan-African because Northeast Africa and Canaan, the land of Canaan, which is Hamite land, is our promised land, Northeast Africa. So I understand when people say I'm not a Hamite, but based up on today's term, that landmass that's known as Africa, we are part of that landmass. So when you get pan-Africanism, it was based off of also what is known as Zionism, which is getting back to the land, Northeast Africa, which is our promised land, which we know the Arabs and the Edomites is fighting over, our land. So I didn't hear nobody explain it like that, but this is my understanding of pan-Africanism. It's to get all of those that scattered throughout the diaspora, Israel, as well as others that come off of that continent back into that continent and to dominate that continent because it belongs to us and not the other nations and other people. Even Northeast Africa, which we know foreigners is in our land. Africa, Northeast that is.
All right. Thank you for that, brother. Israel Doctrine. Let me bring in real quick, brother D-Red. I'm gonna go back to the Mighty Hebrew, and then I'll bring up brother Zen. But I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to be heard. So, brother D-Red, you've been quiet for a while. So, if you have anything you want to bring out or address, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, shit, Carl broke it down because Garvey did look at how Theodore Herzl created Zionism, and he wanted to model his. Because Zionism is not, again, anybody should study Zionism should know Zionism is not a theological concept. You see what I'm saying? It may have theological realities in it or theological perspective in it as far as the children, the promised land and things of that nature, but it's more of a political movement. Zionism is a political movement. That's why a lot of Zionists Zionists anyway, that's not the point. The point I'm making is when Garvey formatted it, he formatted to take all of the land back, and that would include Israel, because we know the people of the diaspora, as Carl said it eloquently. I really don't have a whole lot to add, but what he said is the actual truth. It's not. It's like people making it a big deal to me, and I'm gonna speak for myself on this one. It's like it's the same mentality when they say if it ain't a part of the UPK, it ain't of the Lord. So now it's one of them situations where if it ain't the way One West see it, it ain't of the Lord. You see what I'm saying? That's pretty much what it. I mean, that's pretty much what it's coming down to. You see what I'm saying? And that becomes the problem, because nobody. Because I didn't do it, and a lot of people here who know me can attest to that. When people want to go at them, I'll be saying shit, go at the One West camps for this, that, and the third, this doctrine that they see is not right, or that. I'll be like, man, chill out, because I feel like they have a right to believe what they want to believe. You know what I'm saying? As long as they doing work and they worshiping the Most High, and they acknowledge that they Israel, I'm not finna go at them about something that, in my mind, may be minuscule. You see what I'm saying? But it seems like other people feel like they got the right to question your Israelite heritage because you don't see things from their lens. You see what I'm saying? And to me, that's bullshit. I mean, for the lack of a better word, you see what I'm saying? Because that's why I said what I said earlier. Because I could take you to, I just gave you a Masonic a depiction of what they say the star is. I could take you to the Masonic depiction, and Danyaahla say the truth. You can find good and bad in everything. So you got to be able to use the same dichotomous mindset when you're talking about the RBG. Yes, you have fringe elements that really don't represent RBG based upon the principles of Garvey when he talks about one God, one name, one destiny. So if you see somebody that's coming in that's talking about they're atheists but they RBG, you should already know just by that quote, one God, one name, one destiny, that don't represent Garvey, because Garvey was talking about God. So but you would dismiss that because that don't fit your narrative, and say and hang upon a SETI or what or whoever else, or a Sonetta or whoever else you see on YouTube. You'll see what they represent, and you'll take that and say that is what it is, dismissing Garvey. And you can't dismiss the foundation, just like you can't dismiss the foundation of One West. You can't. I don't care what somebody else say. I would have to go with what Ariel said. He's the foundation. I would go by what he say. I don't care what somebody else that come along after him say. If it contradicts him, I'm gonna say you out of pocket. So that's disingenuous. And you were talking about, if you want to talk about being disingenuous, to me that's the most disingenuous thing you can do. All right.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna bring Jeshu back in because I know he was talking before and I interrupted him to bring in brother Carl Albert, brother Israel Doctrine. But I want to say this to you, D-Red. The 6-pointed star predates Freemasonry. Let's keep it real. I know you're a scholar, so I don't give a damn what these so-called modern scholars say. The 6-pointed star predates Freemasonry. So all this stuff that they tell you about how it goes back to the Masons, who gives a damn? It predates that. So that's crap. I'll come back to you.
Danyaahla.
I think
no. I just want that was my point, Danyaahla. That was my whole point. You can't don't. I could bring up stuff that's after the fact to say this is this and say that's what it is then. If you want to bring up and say, well, gays that's using the RBG flag, that's what they are. It's what they say. That is what their movement is about. Then I could do the same thing.
You could. You know what? I'm not even going to go back tit for tat with you because I want to bring other brothers in. But you know, me and you, we was going back and forth behind in the comments. We could talk about that. But it's a difference in what I'm saying and what you're saying. But we'll talk about that later. I want to allow everybody to speak. So, Brother Jashu, I know you was trying to talk before and I interrupted you. So I want to give you back the floor. I'll give it back to the Brother Divine. I'll bring Mighty Hebrew and Brother Mikhail back in as well. But Jashu, the floor is yours. Go ahead, Lord.
I have a question for Brother Divine Prospect. I want to know, did his association with RBG inspire him or influence him to make the following statement that he's African first? And I can't remember if he said he's Israelite second or third, but he puts African ahead of being an Israelite. So I want to know, him being associated with RBG, did that influence him to come to that conclusion? Is the brother still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, I heard you. I want to respond to it. So, again, when I say African, I'm referring to the continent, right, that we connotatively call Africa. On that continent, there's Shemites and there's Hamites. Additionally, on that continent, there's Israelites. So just like here in America, right, a lot of us say, well, our nationality is Israel, right? But Israel itself as a state has nothing to do with us. So technically, by virtue of, if we look at civics of how we operate day to day with our ID, our social security number, our birth certificate, we're technically part of the nation called America, but our ethnicity is separate. That's something that's distinct. So when I say that I'm African, I'm referring to the fact that that continent itself has my people on it, and not just only has my people on it, some of that continent is also the inheritance that the Most High promised Abraham, so we claim rights to it. So me identifying as being African does not undermine me being Israel, because then that parses me out and that specifically identifies the tribe on that continent that I identify with. So RBG, and they claim they're RBG, Hamite Africans, whatever they want to claim it to be, it's still our people that's there on that continent, both Hamites and Shemites that share that continent. So for us to abdicate it and give it over to another tribe, or I would say a phylum that consists of many other tribes, and say, you know what, I'm not going to claim it at all, but yet our ancestors were on that continent longer than any other continent on this planet, we are doing a disservice. So it is a common denominator that if they say they're African and they identify with Hamites, okay, look, I'm African too. That continent is ours just as much as you claim it's yours as well. But we both share in systematic oppression on that continent and abroad. So being that that's a common denominator that we all face, and the oppressor that's oppressing us is the same one that's in control of all the resources, right? Because people say that the earth itself is given into the hands of the wicked, and people always try to identify that wicked as being Esau. We're both being oppressed by Esau. So if that's the case, and you have resources and I have resources, how can we come to the table and exchange these resources to benefit our respective tribes? In the process of me working with you, just like on my regular job, and people see the integrity that I hold as an Israelite, that is what will win the moment. I don't have to go and proselytize and say, oh, look, you're an Israelite. I don't have to do that. I live the life. People see it, and either they're with it or they're not. But at the end of the day, if I have something that they need, they have something that I need, and I know somebody in my community needs a home, needs healthcare, needs financing, needs something, I'm going to work with that organization to pull it back into the house of Israel.
All right, Mighty Hebrew. Hold on a second. I'm just shooting. I want to try to. I'm trying to go across the board as I see it and bring everybody in. I'm gonna come right back to you, Lord. Mighty Hebrew. Go ahead.
King. How's the family tonight?
Everybody's good, Lord. Go ahead.
King. Absolutely. I just want to turn this over real fast because I want to show the family something. Okay. Again, first and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful, one of our forefathers. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake, I say unto the family, Shalom Aleichem. This is a very interesting conversation here. Everybody says some very, imperative statements, what I'm saying, and comparative when you're dealing with this situation here with this RBG understanding of Israelites being involved. I'm one that do have a in-depth understanding that it was Israelites that formulated this. When you start talking about Rabbi Arnold Josiah Ford, Brother Samuel Valentine, and others that came up with these concepts. But what I want to do is I want to just give some biblical insights dealing with what you see right here. And what you see right here is the flag that I represent at the United Nations of Israel. And if you look real carefully at this flag right here, you can go to Exodus chapters 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38, and you'll see the colors of red, white, blue, purple, and gold being our mineral. Also, you can see the menorah. And we knew that there is an issue, even though I rock the shield of David, there's a lot of brothers and sisters that may have a problem with it. So we chose the menorah. Then you see the 12 stones for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. We didn't, manifest it by way of using any type of English. Some people don't acknowledge the tribe of Dan being a part of the 12 tribes, et cetera, et cetera. So what we did was we just left the stones there. So that's Bill. The 12 stones are for the 12 tribes in the Eternal's name in Paleo-Hebrew, because you also have people that may have a misunderstanding that modern Hebrew is Yiddish, when in fact modern Hebrew is not Yiddish. So they'll see, the modern Hebrew script. Some people identify as the Assyrian script or the Babylonian script, and they misidentify it as Yiddish. Then you see the whole 12 tribe symbol. You see the red. The red is our blood. The white is the purity or the enlightenment. The blue is the eternal flame of the creator. The purple is the royalty. And the gold is the strength. So we can identify this script strictly in the scriptures. Also, if you look at Psalms chapter 60, verse 4, you'll clearly see that the Most High said, in the last days, which is now, the Most High give us an ensign. If you go to www.themightyhebrew.com or www.yahwehgather.us, you'll see the whole breakdown, our whole jurisdictional structure is broken down. We're in the process right now of setting up a sovereign Supreme Court in the land of Israel right now. By the way, the late Ben Ami's first cousin, high priest, Kohen Eleazar, a lot of people know him as Amaniel Ben Eleazar. So we working real hard, myself, Prince Asiel, and us, to build a sovereign Supreme Court, which in turn will cause this nation to be outlined and looked at as a government in exile. In that time when Marcus Garvey and all them came about, that was good for that time. But again, we have to come back. We have to return back to where there's outlined in Torah Constitution. We can no longer look at the Torah as just a body of religious rules. It is a constitution that separates us and causes us to be an autonomous nation. So Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, these things will cause us to gravitate to one another on the national level, even the international level. All nations of the earth have flags, and they're identified with colors. And we know that colors identify with moods. So if we return back to the colors that the Most High identify us with, and you can even see on the flag, you see the fringes, even on the flag. As I take y'all to the flag, you can see the fringes. Okay, so why won't we rock with is identified in the scripture for us to rock with? Now, I don't mind if we all have like different camps may have like flags But if we go by the scripture in the book of Numbers, it clearly, specifically tells us that we will have tribal flags, we will have national flag, and we will have what you would know as a royal crest. The national flag will be for all the 12 tribes. And then each tribe has the tribal flag. I don't have the flag on me right here, but I'm gonna see if I can show the picture. But it's very important for us to start moving on these levels. We can no longer keep regurgitating old information. That was good for that time, and we can use certain elements. But now when we want to establish ourselves as a nation, now we're distinguishing ourselves. We're identifying, because Israel is in fact a nation of people going through the seed of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. This is what defines us as Israel, our customs, our language, identification. When we identify with other nations, it doesn't give us an identifiable factor. And one more thing before I go, I don't want to be controversial, but I don't think that I'm African first and then Israel. No. I respect Divine Prospect and what he's saying, you know, and his understanding, but I disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because we know, if we talking etymological wise, the word Africa through the research goes back to afar, which we know in the Hebrew Nikudah and the Ivrit in Bereshit chapter 2, verse 7. We see that word in Hebrew talking about the soil. Then if we go to Midian, we see that the Midian, the seed of Midian gave birth to Afar, which in turn we know as the Afarites, who Josephus says conquered your Libyans or your Punites. Okay, so anybody technically, if you want to call yourself African, would be the children of Afar. Anything else would be made up after that. So we have to be very careful for us not to label ourselves with attachments. So when we hear people say, I'm an African first, then I'm such and such, nothing supersedes your ethnicity, nothing. And then when we look at the name of continents, this is a modern idea. Ancient times, people didn't name lands how we're identifying it today. Lands were identified based upon the people that lived on the land. So you might say the land of Cush, meaning the land that the Cushites live on, or the land of Canaan, meaning the land that the children of Canaan lived on. Then another thing that we got to come out of this mind state, thinking that Africa is to create our humanity, when in fact this planet Earth is to create our humanity, because quiet as it's kept, before we know Africa, Asia, and these continents, at one time we know that there was a supercontinent, and we have the information on this. So we know that we was on this planet prior to what we know today as what we see the continent of Africa as. So we got to get out of this mind state. You know what I'm saying? That we're African. Now, geopolitically, and when I say this, I'm not meaning in the sense of, you know, Hamitic, Shemitic, because technically even the Hamites are not Africans. We are the only people on this planet that is identifying ourselves with continents. This is a part of the byword. This is a part of the curse. So, you know, I'm not.
I have a question just to ask
Can
you.
y'all still hear me?
Wait, real quick, Divine, Salakia. Mighty Hebrew, I want to allow Divine to respond to you. I'm gonna bring the brother Israel Doctrine back in because he asked to come back in, and I want to be fair. I'm trying to go across the board, give everybody a chance to have equal time. So you address Divine, so let Divine respond to you, and then brother Israel Doctrine, you come in the next. All right?
Yeah. Okay. So when I use I'm gonna make a statement, then I'm gonna ask a question. When I use the term African, and again, the statement was made that I said I'm African first. So I'm waiting on Jashu to post a link where I said that. I like this. But my point that I'm trying to make is that when I say the term African, I'm using its current connotative semantical value, the way that people understand it as far as a landmass is concerned. Everything you say in regards to the landmass being identified with the people, I understand that, because even the term Africa was utilized for political purpose to identify this landmass. via imperialism as the term developed over time. But my brother Mighty Hebrew, you are affiliated with Kingdom of Yah, correct? Mighty?
I think he dropped out.
Okay.
Yeah, he just dropped out.
Okay, so what I was going to say is if he's affiliated with, oh, he's back. My brother Mighty Hebrew, are you affiliated with Kingdom of Yah?
King.
Okay, you're aware they call themselves African Hebrew Israelites, correct?
Absolutely, but I'm one of the Israelites that came out of that clearly, tells them that I totally disagree with that.
Okay.
They know that I want, even though I'm a prince in African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem and Tikkun under Prince Asiel ben Israel, but they know geopolitically where I stand at, that I'm a Hebrew Israelite sovereign national. They themselves are nationals as well. But the concept and precept of putting African on there, there's no need for me to say that when in fact the Israelites are melanated people. And we know that in ancient times, there were many different names for that piece of real estate, even before you start talking post-antediluvian civilizations. We know that you have pre-antediluvian civilizations that had names and different things of that nature. But the terminology African, even if you go etymological wise and you look up the Europeans that call themselves Africanians over in South Africa, y'all do know it's the same word etymological wise. Y'all do know that, right?
Well, yeah, as far as the cognates is concerned, I don't think anybody disagrees with that. What
I'm saying to you, do you understand that when you say Africanian and you say the word African, you do know that you're saying the same word, correct?
Yeah, that's why I say cognates, because when you say African, that is how it's said in one particular language. Afrikaans is how it's saying in another different language, but they're using the same cognates, whether it's a phonetical value that you're using or whether it's transliterated values that you're using. Yes, I agree with that. But I came out initially.
Dang, I mean, because the reason why I'm asking you these things.
Okay.
All right, let me ask you one more question, then I'm gonna just let you go.
Sure.
When we deal in strictly with the prognostications, the prophecies, inside Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36 to 37, I'm gonna paraphrase it, says, I will make you and your king go into a strange land, which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you will worship gods, even wood and stone, and I will make you an object of horror, a proverb and a byword. So when we say African Hebrew Israelite, would it be okay for people in Asia to say, I'm an Asian Hebrew Israelite? Or if you go to Australia, I'm an Australian Hebrew Israelite? Or would it be safer to say, I'm a Hebrew Israelite that's on the continental breastplate of Africa? Or I'm a Hebrew Israelite that's on the continental breastplate of Australia, et cetera, et cetera.
Now that's a great way to phrase it.
You see what I'm saying? Even when you said earlier, Divine Prospect, when you try to use about being a Democrat and a Republican, there's no such thing as a Democratic Hebrew Israelite or a Republican Hebrew Israelite. It is only Hebrew Israelites that are Democrat geopolitically, or Hebrew Israelites that are Republican geopolitically. But there's no such thing as a Democratic Hebrew Israelite.
So when somebody is registered to vote, and when you register to vote, it asks you what your political party is, and you check Democrat, you're a Democratic Hebrew Israelite. Because
no, I know what you're trying to.
No. Listen. So what I'm saying is, if you're part of an association, if you're registered, for example, everything you say about I'm an Israelite on the continent of so-and-so, I wholeheartedly agree. But the problem is people live in these areas and they are politically tied to the landmass that they are part of, meaning that they have a birth certificate, they have a registration number, a registration card, an ID, some of them. So what I'm saying is, if they said I'm an Asian Israelite, I can look at that and say, okay, look, they either an Israelite that's on the continent of Asia, and or they have a political and economic affiliation with a country.
But the thing is, though, they don't do that. The only ones that do that is us in the diaspora. When you study Israelites all over the world, besides us and even other ethnic groups, why isn't nobody in the continent of Africa running around saying, I'm an African Nigerian, or I'm an African Yoruban, or I'm an African Dahomian? They're not emphasizing that. Not to say that you might not run into some Africans, some different ethnic groups on the continent of Africa that may not say that when they commune with us. But when we dealing in, when we start dealing statistically, you're never going to see people on the continent of Asia saying, I'm an Asian East Indian, I'm an Asian Chinese, I'm an Asian Japanese, or if you go to Africa, or I'm an African this, or I'm an African that. The only ones who do that is us.
Mighty Hebrew, I want to allow Divine to respond to you, and I want to bring in brother Israel Doctrine. So Divine, you want to respond to that real quick, and let me bring in brother Israel Doctrine.
So what you're saying is absolutely correct, but what I'm saying is it depends on the context of where it's being used, right? So the reason why I would mention the term African when I'm speaking in context, it depends on who's the audience that I'm sharing that with, because my particular migration here to the Americas was prior to me landing over here. My ancestors was in the land of Africa amongst various nations, various peoples, and my forefather, who we claim is Abraham, he also has real estate rights to the continent. He doesn't, the Most High didn't say to him, okay, look, I'm going to give you the land that's in Asia. He said, I'm from the Euphrates River all the way to the Nile. That is the inheritance for Israel. So the Nile lies on the continent of Africa. So if that is part of the real estate that Abraham was given, and I'm saying that my particular migration via my ancestors coming here to the Americas is via that continent for political reasons, not my ethnic reason as far as being Israel, because amongst us, we don't have to say that. But outside of that, politically speaking, because there are resources that that continent has that's available for us that I've taken advantage of, and I've helped other people take advantage of that too. And African Hebrew Israelites, or KY, is also taking advantages of a lot of the benefits.
I understand that, but only thing I'm saying that nobody else does that but us. That shows that there's a problem.
No, but that doesn't show there's a problem per se. It just goes to show that there's a way that we're navigating in order for us to get what
we're the only ones on the planet that's doing that.
Because we have a peculiar, let
him finish, and I need to bring somebody else in, Lord.
Okay.
We're all passionate about this.
No problem. And again, this is in all love. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying we have a peculiar story that nobody else on this planet has. It's very peculiar. When you mention Deuteronomy chapter 28, and a lot of Israelites like to assign that to the so-called Negro in America, that is a very peculiar thing that is happening to a group of Israelites that's in a particular land. Now, can anybody else who does not go via slavery over here to America say, oh, you know what? I also was affected by the transatlantic slave trade when they wasn't. So every group of Israelites on this planet has a peculiar story based on the migration route in which they ended up to where they are at. So the so-called Negro Black in America has a different peculiar situation than any other Israelite anywhere else on the face of this planet. And with that, I'll use the floor.
Brother Carl, no. Israel Doctrine, the floor is yours. Hold up, brothers. Hold up. Bring other brothers in. Somebody else want to come in. No, but let brother Carl come in. And then who was that just spoke? Because I'll let you come in next. Who was that?
Mighty Hebrew.
Yeah, brother, you spoke. So I want to bring in brother D-Red or brother James Cassell after brother Carl. Go ahead, brother Carl.
Now, this is the case right here. As I say, I'm an Israelite nationalist. As you hear Mighty Hebrew say, he's a Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalist. Divine also deals with sovereign at times and the term autonomy at times too. So we're taking more of a political stance in what we're talking about and what we deal with. I find that I critique what they say a lot about Israelite nationalism, like they probably critique what I say. But one of the biggest things that I have a problem with, just like the statement with African Hebrew Israelite. I don't even like the term Hebrew Israelite because most people say it's the language and then nationality. Most people say it come from Abraham and then nationality. Where in Egypt, we was Hebrews, we were slaves. We was basically like under Hagar, if you understand in the New Testament, how it breaks it all down into an allegory or a parable, or whichever way you want to say it. Technically, I'm not trying to be technical. But when we was in Egypt, we was in bondage. When we came out of Egypt, we was known as Israel. We didn't carry Hebrew over to that. Though, as most Israelites are, or Hebrews are, they stiff-necked. They like to hold on to old stuff. They don't like to go into new stuff. So people hold on to Hebrew. So when you say RBG Hebrew, I don't really agree with that either, but I don't have too much of a problem with it. But politically, we got to understand that RBG also stands for Revolutionary But Gangster. It's on that BIE list. If we know what the BIE is Black Identity Extremists. So for people to say they Black and identify as Black, then they known as extremists. So now when you have people calling people Black Hebrew Israelites, then that put them under the BIE. Most people say drop the Black. We ain't used that in a long time since back in the days when everybody was Black and proud. Just use Hebrew Israelite. But Hebrew Israelite also carry a negative connotation politically in the world stage. Now, the nation of Israel, it don't really carry an ugly history and stuff like that. Though we know the Jewish people or the Edomites carrying the term in the name, we should fight for just the nation of Israel and be synonymous under that. Now, people talking about all these different banners, that's what I say for us that. Now, when it comes down to dealing with sovereignty or autonomy, just dealing as a body, the church, and if you go to the New Testament, I think it's 7:38 in Acts, the church is Israel. Now, when you talk about that, and Israel going back to the land and prophecy saying people going to take a hold of our skirt and take us to where we're supposed to be, these are strangers, not Israel. So you go back to the conversation of the second Exodus. The first Exodus had a mixed multitude of people. And in the future, it's going to be a mixed multitude of people. Those mixed multitude of people that came out of the first Exodus with Israel was somewhat Hamitic. They weren't Japhetic. You know what I'm saying? They weren't Europeans. They was quote unquote Africans or Hamitic people. So we know that because of the intermingling of the two nations down there. Brothers was marrying Hamitic women. Hamitic man was marrying Israelite women. That's what was going on. And in the diaspora today in America, you can't say that every Black that's married to quote unquote another Black, that Black is an Israelite. So if we go back to the land today, if it happened today and we had to exit out of America, as people then said, and go back to the land, then we're going to have a mixed multitude come out with us also. And some people that saying they physically Israelites because they Black and they want to come up under the covenant, that's not physically Israelites. So when we try to diss the African thing or the Hamite and don't deal with the sojourning laws, which is national politics, and I know you brothers know I speak on this sojourning stuff a lot. National politics, if we're going to be nationalists and we're going to be ambassadors, then we have to deal with this policy that's known as sojourning laws. And when we deal with that, then yes, Israel first, but you cannot deny anyone else that has an ear to hear because his children hear. And just as he called them Hamites in the wilderness with us, Israel, at one point, it's gonna happen elsewhere. I know people don't like me saying all this stuff, and it runs into other people's doctrine and understanding of it. But for those that know it, that don't want to talk about it and advocate it, this is part of the problem. Because if we don't get sojourning laws on the table and talk about them and comprehend them and understand them as a nation, we as a nation gonna go down. And our national name, the nation of Israel, not nation of Hebrew Israelites. There's no such thing in any so-called biblical texts or our ancient texts that call us Hebrew Israelites, when y'all find out who gave us that name, like Jesse Jackson gave us African American, then I'll be able to hear the term Hebrew Israelite a little better. And I don't think no one has ran that down scholarly or historically yet. But y'all got it.
Okay, so I want to bring in the brother Jashub, and I want to bring in the brother Mikael, but I just have to say something to my brother Israel Dachi, because he and I, we go back and forth a little bit sometimes. Them sojourning laws are for when we are established. We're not dealing with sojourning laws right now because we are not established. Most High going to establish us first. Let me finish. I didn't interrupt you at all.
No, this was Mighty Hebrew. This was me. I wanted to speak about the sojourner law.
Hold up. No, Mighty Hebrew. Hold on a second, Lord. I gotta bring some other brothers in that haven't spoken in a while. I'm trying to do this fair. So I just want to say, them sojourner laws that brothers keep bringing up is going to be established in the kingdom after we're established. Then we're going to deal with the nations righteously. Everything that you said, pursuant to the book of Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. But that's after we're established. Right now, none of that stuff is valid, because right now Israel is not established. But with that being said, we can go back and forth on that, brother Carl. I don't want to do that right now. Let me bring in the brother Jashub. Let me bring in the brother Mikael. Then I'll bring you in back in Mighty Hebrew and the brother D-Red. But brother Jashub, go ahead.
I have another question for Divine Prospect. Does the RBG movement influence you to look at the continent of Africa above Israel? And what I mean by that is, I see you wear the African chain. You represent for Africa, but I never see you put on for the land of Israel. I never see you show any images referring to the land of Israel. But I always see the chain with the African continent on it. Does it have the land of Israel? I can't see it. Let me see.
Yeah, it has the land of Israel, and it actually has a crown where Israel is at.
Okay, I never seen that piece right there.
Okay.
All right, well, I stand corrected.
Yeah, so to answer your question,
body bag.
From my perspective, Israel is on the tectonic plate of Africa. From my perspective, right? People may disagree. So when I say that as far as African, I'm encompassing Israel as part of that landmass, and that's why in this chain that you see here, you see a crown and blue that's right there. That's over where Israel is at. So I never get that twisted. Again, just like any tribe that was mentioned earlier, I think it was Brother Mighty Hebrew that mentioned where tribes speak about their own ethnic group on the continent. My bad. They know outside when they leave their continent, they're considered African, right? But they also speak about their ethnic heritage. So it would be the same way. And speaking outside to outsiders, I would say, yeah, part of the African diaspora. But when we drill it back down to tribe, I say that I'm Israelite. And we believe that that's the fatherland, right? This is how we view it, or this is, at least from my perspective, that's how I view it. So RBG never skewers my ethnic identity. It is, again, a social political thing by means of people that can identify with certain common denominators so we can exchange resources and build ourselves up as a true nation.
Brother Mikael, you got something you want to bring out, or D-Red? Go ahead, either one.
BKL can go because he's been quiet.
Yeah, my fault. I had dropped off for like 15, 20 minutes. My laptop had went dead, but I could hear y'all on the phone. And I mean, like I say, man, it's been a good conversation. I'm understanding it a little bit clearer, but just to stay on track, as far as each side brought out some good points, but this is the point I'm gonna stay on, right? Our whole thing was, one of our whole reasons for getting in trouble was because we got to the point, like when Brother Carl brought up the sojourner laws, I think he already just set up for another conversation that's gonna be had in Israel too. It might as well do it on Maccabeestv or whatever too. That'd be a good one also. And my whole thing is, one of the main things that got us in trouble was when we actually put the other nations' customs, the other nations, basically the other nations' whole setup, when we put that before Israel, went to the point where it either became equal or higher. That was one of the reasons that brought in the false deities and all those other things. You know what I'm saying? That's what literally was one of the things that got us in trouble. When you look at the laws in the Torah, when we left Egypt with the mixed multitude, when we left, I agree with Carl. We know we had the mixed multitude, like Danyaahla said. We was a nation. We was a nation. But when we brought that mixed multitude out, them laws were specifically set up. Do not as the heathen. We can't do like we did when we was in Egypt. We can't do like we gonna do when we go in Canaan and take that land. So if the thing is RBG Hebrew or RBG Israelite is something that was based on a more international type ideology, I would think it would most definitely just be a straight flat out no. Like ain't no way around that. You know, you can't butter that up no type of way. Now, when I was listening to what the brother Ron was saying and what James was saying and what D-Red was saying, even somewhat Mighty Hebrew was saying, when you looking at it from like a geopolitical standpoint, then you bring in economics, you know, finance and all those type of things. Those are ways that solidified nations move. So the only question I got to ask is, are we still the nation that's not a nation? I mean, we're a nation technically, but on a world view, we're not. We are trying to get back to sovereignty. We supposed to be like the Vatican. The only person supposed to govern us is the Most High. So my question is, I think if anything that we bind ourselves to overtakes our sovereignty under God as the nation of Israel, then I think that's a problem. That's basically all I got to say. So, you know, I think we all should just examine that with anything that we doing.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me bring in brother D-Red. He hasn't spoken in a while. Let me bring him in real quick. Go ahead, D-Red.
No, I just want to say, but what BKL said was powerful. As long as whatever it is you do don't overtake Israel, to me, I don't really see no issue. I think, you know what I mean? I think people, like I said, man, it becomes right onto East Twainard Road. It becomes a situation where it's like, if you don't think like we think, then this, and it becomes, we start doing each other the same thing that we accuse some of the Old Testament brothers, who they may feel like, because we worship Christ, we worshiping another deity. And then we started doing the same thing. You see what I'm saying? We start doing, because we don't understand that Hebrew, being an RBG Hebrew, has nothing to do with us culturally. We still keep the Torah, we still keep the Sabbath, we still keep the Passover and the holy days. We still doing the same things that you're doing. It's not infringing on our cultural base. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's because a lot of people don't understand, don't want to grasp that, because I think we've articulated this over and over and over again, that it's a political thing. It has nothing to do with us culturally, whether you want to call it religiously. It has nothing to do with our moral stance. It has nothing to do with our customs, rites, rituals, none of that. So it's like, if we say this, it shouldn't be no issue, because we're still keeping the law, we're still keeping the Torah. It's the same way, like I said, Messianic Hebrews don't really necessarily like when Messianic, non-Messianic Hebrews acting like we don't keep the law. It's
Brother
misunderstanding.
D-Red, if I could ask you real quick, I want you to keep expounding. But I've seen it in the chat, because I've been looking at the chat a little bit. People have a problem with that term political. That's a big problem for people. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a problem for me too. So we keep talking about, that's your political stance. Explain to people why, or what you mean by your political stance, because it's a problem for a lot of people, including myself. So go ahead.
Well, I think what we don't understand is, I mean, we all know and understand the curses. I think we all kind of grasp that. But I think at the same time, I think a lot of times what we're not understanding is we're talking about getting resources and stuff for our people. And the only way you're going to get those resources, you're going to have to engage in the political process to make our situation better. So yes, we know we're not going to be in our state, in a perfect state until the Mashiach come back. We understand that, but in the meantime, our people are starving. Our people are hungry. Our people need jobs. You see what I'm saying? So we need, these are things that we need, and the best way we feel, the best way to get that now. Not again. We understand that we're not going to be in our perfect state until the Mashiach come back. We get that. But what we're saying is right now to alleviate some of those issues is to engage in the political process. You see what I'm
Brother
saying? Or go
D-Red.
through political processes.
Now, I need everybody. I know me and D-Red is going back and forth for a minute, but Brother D-Red, I'm going to put you in a hot seat now.
All right.
Because people want that fire. So let's just bring it to the public, right?
Yeah.
Listen to me carefully. The majority of, I seen this on the comment board, so I'm going to bring this to you because maybe you didn't see it. Someone said on the comment boards, the problem with you RBG Israelites, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to say this about you, even though you were saying some stuff yesterday. You were saying some stuff. But the problem with some of you RBG Israelites is you have a problem with us saying that Native Americans, Native Puerto Ricans, Native Dominicans, Native Mexicans, not the white man, not the Spaniards that's down there, particularly you, because you have this problem. People say that y'all RBG Israelites, y'all have a problem with us accepting the so-called Native Americans, the so-called Puerto Ricans, the so-called Dominicans as being Israelites. So let me qualify before you come in. At no time, and I'm speaking from a position of authority, at no time when One West came with that 12 tribes chart, did we ever say that everybody in Mexico is Israelite? That's a lie. At no time, I don't care what you heard, you're speaking to somebody that was there. And I know the brother that brought the 12 tribes chart. So you're speaking to an expert. It was never said that everybody in Mexico was Israelite. It was never said that everybody that's Native American was Israelite. It was never said that everybody in Puerto Rico was Israelite. We understand that you have heathens mixed in there too. But the problem is, and my question is, a lot of people feel like brothers that claim that RBG, you are Negro-only Israelites. If you're not looking like daggone Buckwheat or Samuel L. Jackson or Wesley Snipes, you're not an Israelite. So I want you to answer that. The floor is yours.
Yeah. See, and I'm not a Negro-only Israelite, but I do understand, because I understand that we're gonna have people that's gonna look various ways. However, when you make a blanket statement, because see, it's on y'all to qualify it, because y'all the ones that say blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. I don't say that. So which natives? I mean, they got rock art depicting a war between the black Israelites and the Mongoloid Israelites. So which natives are you talking about? Those people were at war with each other. So which one are you talking about? So it's not up to me to qualify it. It's up to you guys to qualify it, because you guys make the statement. So my stance on that is, a lot of times, and I would say 90% of the time, y'all end up embracing Mongoloids as opposed to I mean, y'all end up embracing Mongoloids. I mean, it ain't even the point. So that's where the issue becomes. If you're gonna have an issue with us integrating with people politically, but you guys are integrating with people racially, historically, and ethnically, that becomes hypocritical. You see what I'm
See,
saying? So and then bringing them, and then not only integrating, you're bringing them under our banner. See, we don't bring a Hamite under the banner of Israel. That's what the whole purpose of the RBG's for. They stay on that end. We're Israel.
All right, I knew you was gonna say that. I ain't gonna say nothing else. Jashub, go ahead, and I'm gonna bring brother Israel Doctrine next. Jashub, go ahead, because I knew you was gonna say that.
So why are you claiming that they're Mongoloids? Why do they have to fit under that classification? D-Red.
I mean, because when you do the craniometrics say that they're not Negroid or they're not Afro-Australoid.
So okay, classic Mongoloid skull is round, right? Rounded, and they have the epicantic eye fold. Why don't we see this type in America if they're all Mongoloid, or majority of them are Mongoloid, as you claim?
I mean, but you can't see the epicantic eye fold on a crane on a skull, bro.
On a skull, but we see their children, we see their posterity. Where are these features?
Even all Eskimos don't even have the epicantic eye fold, so
that's my point. So how are you classifying them as Mongoloids?
They classify them Mongoloids because you can see the migration pattern linguistically. You can see the linguistically, and you can see the migration pattern culturally.
A migration,
like I asked you before. Show me where we dwelt in teepees in Israel.
I posted the scripture in the chat, Hosea.
No. You said dwelling in. You said dwelling in tents. I said show me archaeologically, because we know we do it the mud brick houses in Israel. Show me where we dealt in tents in Israel.
What are you talking about? We dwelt in tents for a long period of time during the epoch between the Egyptian captivity and us going into the land. So what are you talking about?
Teepees, brother. Teepees.
Tents, tabernacles. This is another word.
Show me. No, because teepee designates something specific. Show me where historically where we have taken that housing pattern with us.
Wait, hold on, let me tell you something. Teepees are only one type of tent or tabernacle that the Native Americans use as housing. Just one type. So I don't understand your logic. But the scriptures do say in Hosea 12:9 that will, in a sense, be a curse that our people have to flee and dwell in tabernacles, as in the day of our feast, talking about the Feast of Tabernacles, right? So, okay, if we're speaking prophetically, they fit that prophecy. So you helping our case. You're not defeating it. You helping our case. And for you to try to minimalize it and say, okay, show us an ancient teepee. It's just a type of tent or tabernacle. So that's a weak point. But you're losing on the point of calling them all Mongoloids because you can't produce to me these children or these Israelites, or no, let me say it like this, Native Indians that showcase Mongoloid features. If you're going on phenotype alone, where are these Mongoloid people? Where are they?
What do you mean? Where are they?
Yeah, I want to see them.
When you go to the, if you want to go to DNA, you go to the people that would be classified as the Sioux. Those people have a unique DNA that wouldn't fit the E1B1A character. Then, if you want to go back to the TP argument, I can take you straight to Siberia to show you linguistically them people fit in the same language phylum. Culturally, they fit in the same language phylum, and I could take you and physically they would fit the same language phylum. You see what I'm saying? But you can't.
Dealing with a migration.
But you can't. Dealing
with migration. Israelites all in that area as well. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, prove it. You have to prove that.
The Sakai people. Do you know about the Sakai people? The house.
Okay. And that's one.
We're still going on. We're drifting off a topic. We're drifting off.
We're not drifting off a topic.
Because if you're dealing with migration patterns, right? Israelites were in that area. Do you understand that? The Sakai. Do you understand that, D-Red? You have to understand that first. So if you want to tie anything linguistically, what about all of the Hebraic cognates that we find within the Native American phylums? If you want to deal with linguistics, why don't you deal in that area? Why don't you deal with that?
We don't find them all throughout the Native America though.
But you still see the cognates.
You see a few. You see a few. That's not the majority. And when you say Native Indians, that connotates you're talking about the majority. Y'all have got to specify. That's not my job to specify.
So your argument is based solely on phenotype and how they look, right?
No, I just told you. I didn't say that. See, you don't listen. I said linguistically and culturally, you don't see no Hebraic. You may see artifacts over here. Nobody's disputing that Israelites came over here. That's not the argument. My argument is y'all embrace any Native American, regardless if he a Mongoloid or not.
Well, how do you specify they're Mongoloid? That's why I asked you yesterday.
Exactly.
How do you do that? You just doing
it.
No.
But that's your job because y'all the one include them. That's your job to qualify y'all statement. Not me.
We never see. You know what the problem is. You know what the problem is, D-Red. You assume it was never taught It was never taught that every single Native American is an Israelite. It was never taught that everybody over here in Puerto Rico and Dominican, that we never taught that. Who told you that? Where did you get that?
Just by the statement, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Which native?
No, nobody says that. Nobody says, people say of Negroid or Indian descent. We specify that for a reason, because everybody is not an Israelite. You got some of them that's Mongoloids, you right. You got some of them that's so-called Caucasian, you right. That was never taught. Where did you get that? What camp teaches that everybody over here?
Man, you know how many camps that you can see that say blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians?
Brother, if you ask those camps, if you sit down and you ask those camps, like you just making a blanket statement. You tell us not to make a blanket statement about RBG. I told you this yesterday. If you sit down and you ask the camps, they will tell you they're not saying that. You've not asked the camps. That's why a lot of people have a problem with the RBG movement. A lot of Israelites have a problem with it because y'all, I'm not saying you. See, I'm gonna separate you from everybody else. A lot of RBG Israelites, you love the white man, but you hate so-called Native Americans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. You hate them. Not you, but in general. Because you don't ask no questions. You just make a general assumption and tell us not to make a general assumption about you. There's no camps that teach that every Native American is Israelite. No camp. I don't care who you call. There's no camp that teaches everybody in Puerto Rico, Dominican, Mexico is Israelite. No camp teaches that. But if you don't ask, if you don't take time to sit down and really understand where brothers is coming from, that's why you say that. And that's one of my biggest problems, the whole RBG movement. Because maybe not you, but the majority of Israelites that call themselves RBG Israelites are Negro-only Israelites, and that is nonsense. I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, straight up and down.
But again, though, I think what you're not addressing the concept. You're not addressing the concept.
Wait, let me let somebody else in. Salakia,
go ahead.
Salakia, Jashu. We got to spread this out. I think Mighty Hebrew was trying to say something. I want to bring Divine back in.
Absolutely, I definitely want to say something again. Giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful, one of our forefathers, of them, Yitzchak and Yaakov. To go back a little bit, because right now, what y'all talking about, the differences between the Aboriginal versus an Indigenous person over here in the wilderness in North America. We come back to that another time. But getting with this, these sojourn laws. Them laws are only understood based upon a national understanding of how we are to move as a nation of people. When you look at all nations of the earth, if you got people that want to come over here from other nations, they get naturalized within that Pacific nation. You don't just wake up and say, shit, I'm Chinese because you moved to China, or you Japanese because you moved to Japan. There's certain moves that you have to take and make to become a Chinese citizen or a Japanese citizen, even though ethnically you're from another nation. There's no way, shape, form, or fashion in this dispensation of time that the laws of the soldier are at hand at this time, because we have to set ourselves up as a sovereign autonomistic banner. Another thing that has to be corrected, because a lot of people keep saying this because they lack an understanding of Niqwadah. A lot of Israelites do not know Hebrew, so they make statements and say that Israelite is our nationality and that Hebrew is our language. This is inaccurate, brothers. Our tribal heritage is Israel and our nationality is Ivrit. When you go all throughout the scripture, because it was said that we didn't use the term Ivrit or Hebrew after we left from out of Egypt, which was during the end of the 12th dynasty, 1446 BCE. You see in the book of Jonah, chapter 1, verse 9, we clearly see Jonah, which is after the Exodus, calling himself a Ivrit. You go all throughout the scripture, you can see that we use the term Hebrew and Ivrit interchangeably. We say that the word Hebrew means one who crosses over. That is not true. It means my crossing or my passing over as an ancient. So when you go to the Hebrew Niqwadah, when you talk about tenses, past tenses, future tenses, present tenses, past tenses, Ivrit. So the word Hebrew means past. It does not mean one who crosses over. The word Yisrael should be actually pronounced Yisrael, or excuse me, Aishael, or in ancient Hebrew, Yasha'Allah, which means he is a powerful prince. But when you say Yisrael, the Suah is one who contends. So they purposely put the vowel points on purpose to have suah, the root word, to go against the power of the Most High. But that's not what it really means. So now when you say you are Ivri Israeli or Aiboya Yasha'ale, you say you are a powerful prince from the ancient past. That's what the word Hebrew Israelite means. In the Niqwadah, in the Hebrew grammar, you can see that we're known as Hebrews and Israelites interchangeably. Also, we're sovereign because the Most High is sovereign, okay? The whole universe and the multiverse that the universe is in belongs to the Most High. Everywhere the Most High lay his feet, anthropomorphically speaking, is sovereign ground, thus making us sovereign. And naturally, we're nationals. So once again, at the end of the day, everybody confirmed what I said. Regardless of what we want to say geopolitically or not, at the end of the day, being an African or labeling ourselves as African is a byword. There's no way of getting around this. There's no way, because we're running and we're talking about all these different things. Let's stick with the topic. The topic is it cool dealing with the red, the black, and the green? Originally, Marcus Garvey did not look at it as we're looking at it today. All these acronyms dealing with this red, black, and green, the RBG flag, has nothing to do with the original understanding how Marcus Garvey understood it to be. This all came as oh no, let me finish. This is a later development that came in. When we talk about the law, statutes, and commandments in Debium, falsely called Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 1 to 2, the Most High clearly says, do not add or take away. When you go to Malachi, falsely called Malachi, chapter 3, verse 6, chapter 3, verse 6, he says, for I'm Yahweh, I change not, lest ye sons of Yaakov are consumed. So if we look in the Torah, it breaks down to us the identifiable marks of our colors. There's no need to emulate and try to act like other nations and be like them. We are the only people on this planet that always identify something in front of our name before we say our name. So we don't have to do these things anymore. We on another level of consciousness right now, whereas though now if we move in that prophetic order, being 5/5, mind, soul, body, constitution, which is the Torah, which is the constitutional breastplate of the children of Israel, and then you have nationality, which in fact is Hebrew. Tribal heritage is Israel, because remember the 12 tribes of Israel, before there was any children of Israel, we know that we had the children of Eber that went back to the Horapar dynasty of the Indus Valley. So once we start to get into all what we're talking about, when we talk in Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, everything is strictly going to be Torah centered. There's no need for us to adopt anything. When we have the Most High power on our side by bringing forth these things that we desire, such as the colors of our ancestors, wearing the tzitzits, doing Pesach HaKak Matzo, doing Shavuot, doing Yom Kippur, doing Yom Teruah, doing Sukkot, doing the new moon festivals. All these things will bring back that consciousness which we once lost all these many thousands of years. So what I'm saying to the family is we gotta be mindful that these titles also can put us in a state of being a juristic being by the way of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which is causing us to continue to be a juristic being or a commercial entity over here. So when we say we African, that's a name of a continent with many nations and tribes. Once we say we Yisrael, we don't have to say we African. Now, if we speak in geopolitically, we can speak as our nation being on that continental breast, what they now call Africa. But in ancient times, these names didn't exist. We didn't go by names of continents. You see what I'm saying? So now it's time to return back to what the Most High gave us. Hallelujah, giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers. It was an honor, Priest Danyaahla, for you inviting me on tonight. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, no doubt, no doubt. I'm trying to go
I
across the
think,
board. Can I
think
get
it was my turn.
All right, go ahead,
I
go
think
ahead,
it was
brother.
my
Go ahead, Israel
and
Doctor.
okay. And then it seemed like he was addressing what I said about Hebrew, like, so I mean, we go in instead of having a sermon or a lecture about it. But like I said, if you could go in any so-called Hebrew text, Israelite text, Old Testament Torah, whatever, and bring the term Hebrew Israelite out in any shape, form, or fashion, then you win the argument. If you can't do that, then whatever tradition made by whatever man that brings that about, tradition of man, a doctrine of men. And we do that too as Israel, right? So now I put it aside. Paul called himself a Roman. Rome at the time that he got his nationalization in the Roman Empire. And when the Jews was after him, he said, I'm a Roman citizen, just like we will say we are American citizens. This is what Divine was arguing when he say, we only, if you try to say Democrat before. So though he said he an Israelite, he said he a Jew, he said he a Hebrew, he said it. And when the Lord, or however you want to say it, whatever name you want to say, y'all know the text, and for you can deal with that. I don't deal with linguistics like that. I don't like semantics. I speak English. I don't speak nothing else. But when you go back there, he called his son the nation of Israel. He called them Israel and Israel only. Don't take away. Don't make your own thing up. Don't follow them. Be what God called you. You can say Israel or Yasharala or whatever. That one term linguistically, that's what it is. But he only called us one thing, Israel. Nothing to it. He didn't take nothing away. So what man did it, I don't care. You can't justify it unless you show it in the script. Hebrew text or whatever you want to do it. Now, so I don't, till you do that, you won't convince me. You can convince anybody else. I just want to make that no.
It's in there, bro. It's in there. If you read the Niqwidah, because that wasn't actually addressed personally to you, but if you ask me in the Hebrew Niqwidah, when you understand culturally Hebrew anthropogenesis and Hebrew cosmogenesis, you'll understand if you're dealing with interchangeable words in the Hebrew grammar, such as Israel and Ivrit, then you understand the cultural reality that the children of Israel acknowledged that they were in fact Hebrews. Like if you go for instance, if you go into the book of relax. Relax, bro. When you go into the book of Shemot, I know we just having that conversation. We're going to deal with the actual grammatical structure of what we're talking about. If you go to Shemot, relax. I know you speak English, brother. I'm gonna break it down to you in English too, bro. I got.
Brother, I gotta mute you because it's my time and you cutting in, and I'm telling you, I most definitely want to deal with linguistic. I'm not a linguistic person, so you cannot win me over with linguistics because I don't know if you're lying to me or not, and I'm not gonna go to Divine and say is he linguistically right about Yalla? Is he right about what he's saying in another tongue to me, and I don't understand it? You could be lying to me. You could be calling on some foreign that I don't know nothing about. It's linguistics. I'm just keeping it simple for those that's simple. Now, if you say we love simplicity and beating our head on the rock, then I'm gonna beat my head on the rock because I love simplicity when it comes to that. That's all I'm saying, brother. I don't want to get into the phonics and all of that of it.
All right, what I'm saying is this: when you go into the Niqwidah, when you go into the Hebrew grammatical structure of the book of Shemot, falsely called Exodus, chapter 5, it clearly gives you a clear-cut understanding that the children of Israel worship the power of the Hebrews. All throughout the Tanakh, understanding Hebrew anthropogenesis and Hebrew cosmogenesis, you clearly see that the words Hebrew and Israelite is interchangeable. So having that understanding in retrospect, when we start dealing with the concrete thought of Hebrew reality and culture, the children of Israel were in fact Hebrews, thus Hebrew Israelites. This is now, and another thing that people keep saying, Hebrew is not a language only. or it's not even called Hebrew. The language that we spoke wasn't even called Hebrew. That's number one. Number two, when you go into the Niquidah, when you go into Bereshit or Beresha, falsely called Exodus chapter 10, starting at verse 21, you clearly see the word Eber. Eber is Ibar or Ivrit, which means past, bro. Those whole, let me just finish. Let me finish the grammatical. No.
I told you I don't even want to deal with that, and you still trying to force it down my throat. If you want to do a lesson on it, you could go to Basim channel, or you could open up your channel, or you can ask him another day to come over here. You coming in the middle of my kind of forced linguistics on me, and I say I got one question, and you saying no, let you finish with grammatical linguistic conversation, and I don't want to even have it. So you're gonna force it down my throat. So I ask you simply to show me, and you can go get the text if it's in there. I know it ain't in there because I done did it and searched all over. You're not gonna find a compound of Hebrew and Israelite. They even in the New Testament, Paul say he's the Hebrew. He don't say he a Hebrew Israelite. He say he an Israelite. He don't say a Hebrew Israelite. Israel. So now, at the end of the day, you don't find the two words back to back nowhere in there. If anybody agree or disagree
what I'm
with
saying to you, listen, I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying to you is we cannot disagree with the Hebrew grammar or the Niquidah. We can't. Inside the Hebrew structure of the Tanakh, bro, it's showing that the children of Israel are Hebrews. You see the children of Israel calling themselves Hebrews. You see, hold on, let me finish. All right, let me finish first, bro. I know you, listen, let me finish. This is for the audience that's listening, not personally you, because nobody on this phone is breaking down the Niquidah but me. So let me finish. What I'm saying, when you look in the Tanakh, bro, you'll see the word Yisrael or Yasha'Allah in the
brother. I know Hebrew is in there, even in the Hebrew. I know Israel is in there, even in the Hebrew.
I know, I know you know. Listen. This is for the
listen. I'm specifically.
I'm going.
Know where they're, brother. Listen, just deal with the question.
Why you could deal on my phone?
Hold on. Y'all tripping.
Don't mute me. Don't mute me.
Nobody
Let me finish what I'm saying. What I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is this.
Mighty Hebrew. Hold on one second. I'm not muting nothing. I'm letting y'all brothers rock out. So I want y'all to understand.
No, my phone being muted, yo. What I'm saying is,
you have a bad connection. I'm not muting.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay.
No, I'm muted.
Okay. Hear me? I can hear everybody. All I'm saying is there was a statement. There was a statement that was made that was inaccurate, and this was pushed. No. Let me finish, bro.
One at a time.
Yeah,
brother.
Man. Let me finish. Relax, Israel doctrine.
Wait,
let me finish.
Mighty Hebrew. Wait. Brothers.
I'm gonna fall back.
Mighty Hebrew. I promise I'm gonna let you respond. Just let brother Israel doctrine say what he got to say. Let him get it all the way out. I promise you're the next person I'm coming to. Then I'm gonna go to everybody, and we're gonna end it. So, brother, Israel doctrine, go ahead. Say what you got to say, Lord.
What I was asking him to do something. If he could do that, just say I can't do it, brother. I have to go and do the research and then show you exactly what you asking for. If I ask you $400, you didn't give me $1 penny, you didn't give me $1 ask for, and don't play around with me like I'm some child ignorant or I don't know how to debate, conversate, or whatever else. I ask you to show me back to back in any so-called text written by Allah and stuff, Hebrew Israelite back to back, not interchangeable, not nothing else. If it's say Hebrew, whatever it is in the Hebrew Israelite back to back, do it. If you can't do it, stop fucking perpetrating. Whatever, that shit disrespectful. Damn.
You ready, baby? You ready to go to the restaurant?
All right. So now. Wait.
If you can't do it, don't burn our time, please. If you can't do it, don't burn our time. And if y'all see him doing, y'all, hold up, let me say this, please. Y'all are witnesses, and y'all gotta call them on that because y'all are supposed to have a just balance. And you just matter. I asked him to do something specifically, and if he can't do it, and he lie or perpetrate like he can, y'all supposed to bear witness.
All
to this
of it's off topic, so I bear witness. Y'all arguing off topic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not right. He trying to come. Israel doctrine trying to come. Yo, you said what you are you finished saying what you saying so I can respond to that? Because you don't know what I know, bro. So since you said what you said, first the brother said that he don't know. Listen, now you cutting me off again.
Brothers, wait, please.
Like, this is clown shit, man.
I'm trying, Mighty Hebrew. Hold on. I'm trying to be.
No, listen. He's saying that I can't answer something. Yeah, I can answer.
Mighty Hebrew.
Then you gonna try to put me on the trial seat. Wait, look like who are you, man? Like you try to, I mean, you know what I mean? No, it ain't no trial.
Wait a minute.
We just having a general discussion.
Mighty Hebrew,
you a noodle, man. That's why I don't fuck with you. Because you always saying some noodle ass shit out your fucking mouth, pussy.
Wait.
Okay. I just had to mute them so you
can. Nigga. I don't like that pussy. Fuck him.
Hold on.
Listen,
I want y'all to hear what I got to say.
No, I'm gonna give you the floor.
You a bitch ass nigga. I'll break you the fuck up, pussy.
Okay, so
what it is, the kids in the Bible too.
Man, brothers, fuck you. But you said that law.
Hold on a second.
You bitch ass nigga.
That's a time to kill.
Listen, Mighty Hebrew. Hold on a second, brother. You have brothers on here that don't want to affiliate themselves with that type of talking, brother. So let's not do that. I understand you upset. I understand the brothers coming at you. But I've been asking y'all brothers to show each other respect for the whole night. We've been on the phone for almost 3 hours now. It's been nothing but respect amongst each other. You're not going to have it degenerate into niggerism right now. If y'all brothers want to talk that stuff, y'all got each other's inbox. Y'all can talk all that stuff in each other's inbox. I'm asking y'all brothers to speak respectfully to one another. Now, Israel doctrine, I allowed you to say what you had to say. Mighty Hebrew, you can respond, but if you're going to get into all that pussy and FMF words, I can't do it. So
I'm not playing with these dudes no more. Anybody got something to say to me, I fucking clap you up. I'm not.
No, Mighty Hebrew. Y'all need to listen, brother. Mighty Hebrew, I'm telling you, no.
Now he's trying to
respond to the information.
Man, fuck out of here. I answer the question, priest. What I'm saying is, dude don't know what he's talking about because he don't know Hebrew with God. You wicked. You wicked because you was. I never came on no show with you, bro, because you wicked as hell. You came on this show so you can get some shine with me. I don't fuck with you. You ain't found no Israelite nationalism. Lied to the people saying you was a founder. Everybody know I'm the founder of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. You a fraud. You a fraud. Because you know how we got there, priest Danyaahla. I hate these fake ass niggas.
Can we talk about
it? I want y'all to have me live so y'all can hear. I ain't to be played with. Now to answer the question, when you go into the book of Shemot, when you go to the book of Exodus, Shemot, all throughout the Hebrew and the book of Jonah, you see the children of Israel calling themselves Hebrew, and you see them calling themselves Israel at the same time, bro. When you go into the book of Jonah, you see it. When you go into the book of Zechariah, you see it. So when you sit back and say, whatever. When you sit back and say it's not in the scripture, it is in the scripture. It is in the scripture.
Hold up. This is how we're going to do it. Wait. Hold on. Everybody, hold on. Wait a minute. Everybody, hold on. It doesn't matter who you are. Hold on a second. Everybody, hold on. The people, wait a minute. I don't care who's talking. I'm talking right now. The people are not liking the way that this conversation is going. If y'all brothers cannot respect each other, listen, hold on a second. if y'all brothers cannot respect each other, I'm going to end the stream. It's that simple. So what y'all want to do? Can y'all talk like brothers? Can y'all talk respectfully and disagree with each other? Or y'all going to talk that nigga stuff? I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to be at work tomorrow. So I can end the stream right now and go to sleep. So if y'all want to talk, if y'all want to continue this, because there's still over 200 people in the chat. So I don't want to end it prematurely. But brothers have to deal maturely. We could have disagreements maturely. So I'm asking you, Mighty Hebrew, and I'm asking you also, Carl Albert, end with the cursing. Allow each other to speak. Let's be respectful. I will continue to stream for a little while longer, but if y'all keep going with this, y'all gonna wonder what happened to the stream. I'm just gonna stop it. It's that simple. All right. So Brother Carl fell out already. So Mighty Hebrew, go ahead. He fell out already. That's his problem. Go ahead, Mighty Hebrew. But be respectful, please.
Yo, you got me all out. Well, listen, like I'm saying, the whole subject matter is this. So it'll be known, I talked to, Priest Danyaahla. He invited me to come here. So now I'm here. So if we're going to stick to the subject matter, let's stick to the subject matter. The subject matter is RBG Hebrews. That is the subject matter. Is it good for us? Is it bad for us? Are we dealing with the original meanings, et cetera, et cetera? If we study the book of Esther, we will see that the red, the black, and green was being used by the Medo-Persians, which were the enemies to ancient Israel. All that used these colors that I've noticed throughout ancient antiquity were our enemies, okay? And now in turn, we have adopted these colors as our own. This is not something that I'm making up. This is something that is definitely in the scripture. When you look at the book of Esther, the red, the black, and the green was a part of Xerxes' colors in the Medo-Persians. So the Most High told us don't emulate the ways of the other nations when we go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. So all throughout the scripture, we are told, and we are told countlessly not to emulate the other nations. So all I'm saying that we don't have to emphasize that we're this Hebrew Israelite, that Hebrew Israelite, for the simple fact other nations don't do that. Other nations on the earth, no nation on the earth does that but us. So there's no need for us to say, and we can say, yeah, I'm a Hebrew Israelite that came from the breastplate or the continental breastplate of Africa, for those that acknowledge prior to, 1856, there CE, prior to the excavation of the Suez Canal between 59 and 1869, it was all landlocked if you're talking tectonically. So people identify that as such, but at the end of the day, it still becomes a byword when we're viewed as such. Even when you look at how we identify ourselves as RGB, the red, the black, and green Hebrews.
Now, hold on.
They identify with.
Hold on. I want to get other brothers in here. I still got a lot of brothers on here. I still got Brother Divine Prospect. I still got D Red and Brother James. You and Carl, y'all been going back and forth a little bit. If y'all want to get on here and y'all want to have a debate, you and him, y'all can do that. But right now, if y'all brothers will allow me, please allow me to bring Brother Divine Prospect back in and Brother D Red.
I just want to show you.
Quick, please, brother, because I want to allow other people. Quick, please. Go ahead.
Brother on the left, he got on Leviticus tassels at the bottom. Breastplate, there go RBG. It is Ben Africa. Claim to be Israelites in the land, Ben Africa, basically how they see it. That's what that crown in the middle is. Those are Israelites that's representing. And if they don't say they are RBG Hebrews, then they still got the flag, because you could say it was for our enemies. You could say, look at Esther, this and that, but it's the same thing. Everybody, like D-Red and people been saying, is creating stuff for their own personal identification and identifying as they choose. One can hate that or say don't do that, or that's a false doctrine. If I can't say Hebrew not in that book, like we see it written as a compound word, basically two words put together like Israel and doctrine, I did that. If you don't know who the Hebrew and Israelite on sticks or whatever, if you don't find them two words back to back, somewhat in a compound word, then that's a lie. To know that to be true and don't bear witness to that, you're joining hands with falsehood. That's why ISUPK try to say they ain't Hebrew Israelites now. And I see you see or whatever, you know, the purple people. So come on now. And it's a terroristic term when you deal with the government that's advocating for our people to call themselves terrorists under a term, just like RBG flying that flag is a terroristic flag now due to what Sarnetta and Sarah Seti them doing. That's why I said this whole thing that y'all talking about goes into the BIE conversation and us being identified as black and stuff and being locked up. We're going to receive persecution, but if they're going to persecute me, it's going to be being Israel of the nation of Israel. Not no Hebrew Israelite nation, not no RBG Hebrew, not no anything else, just Israel or the Israel of God from the same name of the class I started it. I'm going to be the Israel of God. I ain't going to be the Hebrew Israelite of God. I'm not going to be no thing else. And anybody that's mad at that, shoot yourself in the head and do us a favor because you're a fool and I ain't got time for fools.
Fair enough. Can I get on Brother Divine Prospect in? Divine Prospect, you've been quiet, so the floor is yours, Lord. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. I mean, it's a lot that I wanted to say, but I know it's getting late, so I don't want to, you know, filibuster anybody and hold things up. But what I will say is, again, and just further iterate that using the RBG moniker is simply by association of coming to the table with other groups who we see as being lost Israelites that have resources and that have affluence and have influence in certain areas, and working together with them under a common denominator in order to leverage those resources to pull back into the Israelite community and build our tribe as a nation. What I wanted to say, and you know, along those lines, in terms of that, is I don't know what tangible manifestations need to be seen by people who are opposed to the RBG element that some Israelites take on. And again, I am not an advocate to say that everybody should do that. Everybody has not been called by the Most High to be diplomatic via certain associations in order to yield certain products and goods and services and resources into our community. So I never advocate that all of us should don that moniker. I'm saying those of us who are diplomatic enough in order to work with organizations that are willing to work with people under the auspices of a common denominator and able to get to the table and do certain business with them that otherwise they would not be able to do so. It is beneficial when we can start showing the community a lot of the tangible results that we yield by doing so. So I'm not sure what will be required to show that, but one thing that I can mention, I'm gonna probably leave it as general as I can, but one thing that I will mention is that, for example, out here in Atlanta, I'm working with a particular group that is responsible for forging one of the biggest cities in the entire state of Georgia. And they're doing so by pooling the resources, the manpower, the efforts, and the campaigning of a community and coming together to say, okay, look, we've been oppressed for so long. We've been misrepresented politically, economically, and even protection-wise via the police force, etc. We need to come together and formulate our own cityhood so that way we can protect our interests and concentrate the authority of state-level power on a local level. So in doing so, they're willing to allow people who come and affiliate and become part of this organization and this committee to form the city, that they will be entitled to certain benefits from coming to the table and working with this group in order for them to get what they need. So me looking at this and saying, you know what, us as a community, as being Israelites, I go by Jeremiah chapter 29, right? Where Jeremiah writes a letter to the children of Israel on behalf of the Most High to instruct them what to do while they are in Babylon. That means that when they are out of Babylon, they will receive different instructions.
being that we are in captivity and we are in a spiritual Babylonian system, we have to use certain ways to navigate in order to accrue resources so we can become autonomous as a people. Once we get to a point when those things will no longer be necessary, then we can relinquish them, and then we can come together as the Most High intervenes, and we can continue on with his assignment with us in the earth. In the interim, this is one of the vehicles to help get us to a particular point of autonomy so we can be reliant on each other. And as Israelites, no matter where we are incorporated in this society, we are the beacon of light. We are the living, written Torah everywhere that we go. So if we are responsible for bringing the influential power by means of our Torah-centered cultural framework, then when people see us, whether they're working with us day to day, whether they're friends with us, family members, associates, we should be the influencing factor, not the other way around. And when we say we stand for the principles of RBG as it was initially established by the UNIA, ACL, as a means of unity and organization, which we lack as a people, we're saying that we're willing to move past the fact that we are disorganized and disunified, put certain disagreements aside for the sake of getting resources to people in the Israelite community that needs them. So this cityhood that's being established, me working on this committee, and me potentially in a couple of years running for city council to infuse Torah-centered principles, values, and ordinances into the statutes and ordinances of the local community, and be responsible for ensuring that policies does not adversely affect anybody who identifies Israel living in this community. We now have certain protections and provisions. So that way, when people say, oh, we're not supposed to set a king over us, but we're living under a captivity where we have people ruling over us that don't claim Israel, that are another group and don't care about us. And I'm saying, so what are we doing about it? What are we to do about it? Are we supposed to sit back and allow those who are oppressing us to continue to oppress us, and all we can do is sit back and complain? That makes absolutely no sense, because we want to be under the curses, because it abdicates us for being responsible and having an obligation in our community. I personally am not going to sit and say, you know what, I'm cursed because I'm following Torah. There are benefits for following Torah that I can use in a diplomatic means of relaying why I stand on the foundation I stand on, and working with another group via the integrity that Israel has. The Most High was very concerned with his name. Israel carried his name because he surnamed them. So that means when we come to the table, the integrity that we put on the line should be greater than any other group, to the point that they will be clamoring to become Israel, clamoring to serve us, clamoring to wake up to their identity. But we have to do it better than them, and we have to be in positions of influence and affluence, so that way we can positively give breathing room, shout out to my brother Uziyahu, breathing room to our community until the Most High gets us out of here. So simply, I'm saying there are tangible results that we are yielding for those of us that say that we are RBG Hebrews. Remember I said RBG is this an association, it's a concept. It has nothing to do with the culture in which we stand on. I'm saying as long as we're providing tangible material resources to the community that benefits us in a way where it alleviates societal ills, I really don't see why somebody will be upset with individuals that have a niche lane when they can benefit off of them being in that niche lane. We're not professing that everybody needs to do what we do. Just like I don't tell every Israelite, you need to be on the corner and the highways and byways and give this truth out, because everybody is not built for that. We are in different positions. Daniel was in a particular situation. Nehemiah was in a particular situation. Esther was in a particular situation. Is everybody in Israel called to do the same thing that those individuals done? No, but they had diplomatic ties with foreign nations, and because of such, they was able to keep the word, the name, and the lineage of Israel preserved. And those of us who say that RBG is one element that we use for our liberation and preservation, we are commencing the same thing in the vein as those ancestors, and everybody else has their respective place. And with that, I'll move on.
All right. So what I want to do,
I would like to
brothers,
ask a question.
unfortunately, sorry, everybody, give me a chance. I'm gonna go to everybody now because, unfortunately for me, I got to be at work tomorrow. It's already 12:30 Eastern time. So I'm gonna start off with you, brother Israel Doctrine. I'm gonna ask everybody to go for 5 minutes. Please, don't go more than 5 minutes. Everybody to have a final word. Starting with you, Israel Doctrine. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right, well, I appreciate you letting me in, brother. I know I'm a controversial brother that when I get around other brothers due to past history and stuff, emotions run high and everything. But I say this to all Israelites, Christians, the government of the United States or whatever. The Bible says it's a time to kill. And if you talking about killing me, then it's kill or be killed. That's to anybody, nobody particular. To know my doctrinal stand on an eye for an eye. So now outside of that, as Divine said, he surnamed us Israel, nothing else. Anybody say anything else is calling him a lie, not me, calling his text a lie. As I said, in Egypt, we was Hebrews. We was in slavery too. We was in bondage too. And when he said, I'm the God of Hebrews, that's what he was saying. But then he changed it to the God of Israel. And he didn't add nothing else to it. So I know people want to hold on to men traditions, whatever man created that, even though he might have been physically Israel or from one of the tribes. He could have been Judah, Gad, Dan, Naphtali, or any of them. They called us a Hebrew Israelite. That's man tradition. I'm not mad at nobody for doing it. I speak against it, but I speak truth about it. If you against the truth, then you against the truth. And the truth is not my personal thing. It's universal. Now, outside of that, RBG, the flag, the colors stand for pan-Africanism. So even when you saying RBG and not highlighting that it's pan-Africanism, then you lacking in the conversation too. And the pan-Africanism goes back to what everybody's trying to say, that Northeast Africa, the land of Canaan, the land of them Hamites, is our promised land. It's called the African continent now. Damn your linguistics. Niggas is too fucking smart for their own good sometimes. But that's what Sinetta TV produced. Motherfuckers that want to be scholarly and not truthfully and honestly. But I don't hold no grudge against nobody because the book said don't do that. So that's some bitch nigga shit. And I'll never be a bitch nigga. I'm going to be a real person, a child of Israel, Jacob. So, you know, anybody in the chat or whatever want to hold a grudge and have animosity and stuff, be you angry and sin not. Because a righteous kill is not a sin. Always remember that. So fuck your threats, whoever you may be. Most definitely the one that made them tonight, but anybody else out there that think that Israelites don't defend themselves or take that opportunity to make a time to kill. So with that said, Mighty Hebrew, you want to see me? You got Chicago ties. Make it happen. Set it up.
That's you all right, Carl. That's
clown. He's a bitch.
No, Mighty Hebrew.
You
know what? I don't want y'all. Listen. I don't want y'all going back and forth. So if y'all gonna go back and forth, I'm gonna eject both of y'all.
Talk cargo ties.
I'm gonna let you.
Nobody don't know you.
Just have your final, Mighty Hebrew. Just have your final say so about the topic. We're not gonna do the personal stuff. Y'all have each other's Facebook pages. Y'all don't have to even do it.
I don't know, dude. I don't fuck with that clown. But I'll give you my final words. Listen. All right. What I'm saying is this. Divine Prospect made a very excellent point. You know, he's expressing that the RBG Hebrews is a political organization. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. The whole objective is to bring forth all camps all over the world. It don't matter what you're dealing with. So before I leave, I just want to leave with these words. You know, if we're talking about building upon a nation, we have to first build upon proper status and subject matter jurisdiction. If we are to move as a sovereign nation, we have to manifest and think as living, breathing flesh and blood, man. And one of the major things that we don't understand is that when we attach things to our national name, You know, it causes us to become a descendant versus ascendant. Like, for instance, the brother was saying that we were known as the Hebrews when we were in slavery, but we were also known as the Hebrews even prior to slavery. If you look throughout the book of Bereshit, you'll see that Abraham was known as a Hebrew. You'll see that Joseph, you know, he said that he was from the land of the Hebrews. And even after, you know, the Exodus, you see all throughout the Tanakh, we were calling ourselves Hebrews, you know, as well as Israel interchangeably. So we don't want to, you know, constantly focus on that, because we know in the scripture we use both identifications, one identifying our national identity, the other our tribal identity or our tribal heritage. So there's definitely a difference between the Hebrew Israelite sovereign national versus the Hebrew Israelite. And the Hebrew Israelite sovereign national is one that views all events within our history as a whole and to be governed by law, and that the Torah is the government and constitutional breastplate to all subject matters. Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationals represents mind, soul, and body for nationality and the tribal heritage by the way of the seed of the father, not the mother in the Constitution. So once again, when you say Hebrew Israelite, you're identifying with your nationality and your tribal heritage at the same time. Remember the book of Numbers or Bamidbar, chapter 1, it breaks down each tribe will have a tribal banner. We also have a national banner. So again, being a Hebrew, that's our nation, our nationality. Being an Israelite, it's the tribal heritage that the Hebrews developed through the seed of Yaakov. Okay, so we have to make that clear. So again, I think it's best for us to return back to our original colors: red, white, blue, purple, the minerals, gold. That is outlined in the Torah, you know, or we at least should give it more of a praise than the rest of these, you know, flags, because a lot of us, we don't even move on that level. We don't move on the level as what the scripture tell us what our colors is. And if we would move collectively with them colors, it'll change our moods, because colors bring forth moods. So if we using colors to, you know, reflect us, but these colors are identifiable markers of other nations versus our own flag and our own colors, which belong strictly to us, I think we would have more power if we would come under the national banners and use national emblems of our own people, because all other nations do it. All nations of the earth identify with national emblems. So again, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake. I say into the family, Shalom Aleichem. Much respect to you, priest Danyaahla, to the Rabbah, the Wada.
Okay, no doubt. I appreciate you, Lord. D-Red, the floor is yours, Lord. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Shoot. I mean, I ain't gonna keep kicking a dead horse, man. I mean, people entitled to their opinion, you know what I mean? But you know what they say about opinions? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. You know what I'm saying? And you know what you eat don't make me shit. So I really don't give a damn what nobody got to say. Honestly, be honest with you. You know what I mean? But I thought that it was a good question. I mean, a good subject, and I think that sometimes, like I said before, man, sometimes we as Israel, man, whether you Christian, whether you whatever, we get the high horse, we get the holy roller, as my grandma used to call it, holy roller syndrome, and we get to thinking that our way is the only way, and the way we think is the only way to think, and all I can say is, man, that where I'm from, that stuff don't fly, man. You know what I mean? And you know, I know who when I'm in the community, who I'm dealing with, half the time they Christians. You see what I'm saying? On some actual builder community. And shout out to my coach Norman with the Be Busy Wellness Center, who got a clinic. Like the people I'm dealing with, I don't even have they see them dudes. None of you dudes in my community. I mean, I see you every now and then. I filmed it on my channel. You know, every now and then I see them, but for the most part, the people that's actually making a difference in my community, that's the one thing I'm really worried about. You know what I mean? That's why I said if a person ain't making a difference where they lay their head, all the other stuff, I ain't even trying to hear all that. You see what I'm saying? So uh, I come from a line of people who actually participated in making change in this in the black community. So I mean, it just like I said to me, just people just be talking. You know what I mean? And people are entitled to their opinion, but I mean that still don't mean nothing to me because I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't see them dudes in my community doing that. So it just is what it is. And so shout out to Danyaahla, all my boys on the panel. I just say, man, just stop casting judgment on each other. You know what I'm saying? And I've been, then y'all can tell, I've been an advocate for the longest of Israel coming together. You see what I'm saying? But you'll start finding the common denominator. And that's what I'm starting to look at. What's the common denominator of Israel not coming together? You see what I'm saying? It ain't me. It ain't James Cassell. It ain't, you see what I'm saying? It ain't coming from us. You see what I'm saying? So it's the self-righteous, you see what I'm saying, that's causing the division, you know what I'm saying, in Israel. So I mean I think us as a people we need to look at that. You know what I mean? Where is it coming from? You see what I'm saying? Because I ain't ever said if it ain't RBG, it ain't of the Lord. I ain't ever said that. You see what I'm saying? Because I know the Lord can use anybody. So with that I yield the mic.
All right. Brother Jashub, you come in after you, Brother James Cassell. Go ahead, Jashub. The floor is yours.
I'm still not convinced on this RBG movement because I'm still opposed to it. I still feel like that we're sticking our head up the African continent's ass, and we're still neglecting the main purpose. You know, Africa is just one area on the whole earth. We're scattered all over, and we're also neglecting the native Indians, as we were talking about earlier. And the brother was saying that they're mongoloids, and he's trying to force that classification on them, which would indicate or imply that they came from the Bering Strait, which is a lie. Because if you look at any of the oral traditions and the written down traditions by the native Indians, they all say they came on boats from the east where the sun sets, where the sun rises. So that's a farce. So we have to really analyze this. Are you for the Israelites? If you're about the Israelites, then you can't neglect our native Indian brothers of indigenous background in favor of a doctrine that could be harmful to Israel and not really make us grow and become the nation that we're meant to be. So other than that, I have no other words or statements. I still don't see why anyone should classify themselves under this organization known as RBG if it's only going to lead to our detriment. The economics sound great and everything, but we had economics in the past and it didn't save us. You know, that wasn't the sole thing that saved or helped or preserved Israel. So with that, I yield the floor.
All right, Brother James Cassell, you come in, and Brother Gedaliah, you be next. Go ahead, Brother James Cassell. The floor is yours, Lord.
Oh, well, I must say that I don't think we were here to particularly convince anybody of anything. We were just here to convey our perspectives. But I noticed that they haven't been able to give one solid example of how being RBG hinders us being an Israelite in any way, shape, or form. They're just giving their opinion about ideologies that other people carry that we don't even agree with whatsoever, but they keep trying to superimpose them on us. And also I've seen that they live in two different worlds. They have a world that they live in when they're outside of their house. Then they have another world that they live in when they're inside of their house, where they seem to forget all the terminology they know when they're outside of their house. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever. I believe you should live in one world and realize it. I mean, we understand our ancient history. I mean, I have videos here on Maccabeestv going into how we are Israelites. That is what I teach. But I teach it from a secular perspective because everyone doesn't accept the Bible. That's just a fact we have to live with. But if you can show them how this is our ancient history, this is who we are, then you should do that. And I think that's something that the RBG side spends a whole lot more time looking into. Not saying that the other brothers don't. They do go into their history and stuff, but I just think we bring it back in a more bring it out in a more clear, concise way. And again, we're about the organizations for our community. It's not about us putting anyone else before our community. And I'll speak on one more thing before I yield. I'm not concerned whatsoever about any sojourner laws while we're in the condition we're in right now. It makes no sense to me to be worrying about other nations when my nation's at the bottom. Well, what I look like feeding somebody else when my own nation's starving. That just makes no sense to me. At this time, I wouldn't waste my time worrying about it. Now, when we're set up and we're doing the things that I believe the RBG community is pushing hard to do, then we'll be able to worry about sojourners and stuff. But we're not there yet.
Thank you for that. Brother Gedaliah, Most High TV channel, you're going to have the final word before I speak and end the show. So unmute your mic. The floor is yours, King.
Shalom, brothers. All praises to the Most High. I think this was a powerful discussion. We need to have a lot more of these. I heard a lot of different perspectives on whether RBG was something we should deal with or call ourselves. Now, when we look at the subject as the show was titled, I think I'm still at a standpoint where as Israelites, we should only label ourselves as Israelites. So anything that we move forward and doing, we should do it as Israelites. That was one of the, like it was brought out, that was one of the biggest reasons why we're in this condition now, because we want to attach ourselves to other nations and be added on to those different things. Now, I understand that, okay, yeah, we getting resources by these different avenues or whatever, but as my brother Danyaahla brought out, we could do that under the banner of Israelites. I think if it's the flag that's necessary, we should rock with our flag. I think that that's where we should be. That's my perspective. I'm not knocking none of my brothers because I see the work or I know about the work that they're doing in the community. And I know they move as Israelites. So I don't think we're arguing about if you are Israelites or not. It's just that should we put those extra labels upon ourselves? And as a brother that follow Torah and understand how my father feels and know that he's a jealous God and he gave us that surname as Israelites, I think I'd be doing a disservice to add anything else to it. I'm a prince of the power. And that's how I move. And with that, you know, I appreciate all the brothers that came on and gave their perspective. It got a little heated, but we still brothers. I'm going to continue to build with my brothers. This is not like, you know, we disagree, so we can't work together. I don't think nobody is taking this from the conversation. We still going to chit-chat tomorrow and build and keep on moving as a unit. But for as any other label beside us being Yasharallah Israel, I think we should put our name back on the map and go back to where I started with Psalms 83. They cut us off from being a nation so that the name Israel be no more. I think it's just time to put our name back on the map so we can solidify ourselves and become that power where the Most High can say, those are my chosen people. That's the nation I'm the God of. And with that being said, I yield the flow.
All right. So lastly, I'm gonna let my brother Divine, you know, have a last word before I close out the show. So, Brother Divine Prospect, the floor is yours, Lord. Go ahead.
Appreciate that, Priest Danyaahla. I just wanted to just give a couple of words to say thank you for inviting us on the platform. I want to apologize to the family out there for any kind of disruption that you've heard on the panel. It was nothing that was intentional. It was a misunderstanding, and it's something that we cleared up behind closed doors. So I just want to apologize to the community if you was offended by just a small interjection. But overall, hopefully everybody was able to see the respective viewpoints of those of us who say that we integrate an element of RBG in order for us to commence certain diplomatic actions on behalf of Israel. And those of us that say that is unnecessary at all, that either we have all the resources within our community or there's other ways we can go about it, simply with just being Israel. I also want to thank D-Red for putting our group together in order for us to actually come together and have this discussion as well. And just so people know, behind closed doors, we are really good friends. You know, we talk, we go back and forth, we debate a little bit, but most of us that's on the panel are really good friends behind closed doors. So it's nothing but love for one another. Despite our differences, there is still unity amongst us, even despite these differences that we spoke of today. And I think the dividing factor is if the ahab, or the love that you have for your nation, is greater than your own internal selfish motive, is if you can disagree and have a difference and still be willing to call that person your brother or your friend. And me personally, all of these brothers are my friend, and all these brothers are my brother. And if it came to it and I had to give myself to defend one of them, then I would do my best to do that for them. You know what I'm saying? Despite whether or not they're rocking with everything that I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, there's a greater love that we must exhibit towards our community. And it should be heavily concentrated amongst ourselves before it trickles out anywhere else. And my mindset is to build ourselves up as a nation, and to do so, find ways to bring those resources to our community. So it was a great discussion. I thank you, my brother Priest Danyaahla and Maccabeestv, for hosting it. As you guys can see, we put on a great discussion on our own platform. So now you're talking about we need to build Israel up, right? Well, y'all need to subscribe to Maccabeestv. You know what I'm saying? Share this video with everybody so that they can see, you know, what these terms mean, our agreements and disagreements on it. Also, make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it, so that when people go to search for it, this will be one of the top videos that they see. And just know the objective is to continue to patronize each other. All of us here has some kind of endeavor that we're doing, a business that we hold. You know, try to reach out to us and see what it is that we can do to serve the community. And I think even with me, you know, associating with RBG, I never neglect my community. My community comes first and foremost. And if there's anything that I can do in a capacity of servitude for the community, please reach out to me and send me the request, and I'll see what I can do for you. And if I'm unavailable, any one of these other brothers can do the same for you, because we love Israel. All right. So with that, thank you, brother, my brother Priest Danyaahla, and the floor is yours.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody that participated, you know, in the conversation tonight. It got a little heated, but as y'all brothers know, it didn't get as heated as it did behind the scenes. I think we were kind of nice to, you know, for the public to see tonight. Because, you know, behind the scenes, the little group chat that we've been in, brothers been going hard, but that's because our good brother, Captain Tazariak, didn't get on. And family, y'all know how Tazariak goes. This conversation will continue tomorrow night on Tazariak's show. He already told me. He has some bullets. He said he couldn't make it tonight. He's supposed to be on this panel, as y'all know. He couldn't make it. But he's going to continue this conversation tomorrow on his radio show, Cross the Line. So if you're not subscribed to Captain Tazariak, make sure y'all go to this channel, Cross the Line Radio, right here on YouTube. Subscribe. He said he got some bullets tomorrow for y'all brothers that call yourself RBG Hebrews. So if you call yourself that, make sure you watch his show tomorrow. Make sure y'all call into the brother's show and y'all defend it, because he's about to go hard tomorrow. I have already seen what he has. And out of respect for the brother, I didn't bring it out tonight. But he got some bullets for y'all. So I appreciate all y'all brothers that came on here tonight. And we showed ourselves really well to Israel that we could have disagreements and still, at the end of the day, end the conversation as brothers. Because a lot of people think that we can't do that. A lot of people think that Israel can't disagree and still be brothers. So we showed the world tonight that we could do that. I say let's continue this. Let's have another conversation, you know, behind the scenes. We'll come up with another topic that we don't agree on, because we have this group chat on Facebook. So we'll come up with something else we don't agree on that we all want to talk about in public, and we'll all come back on here in front of the family, and we'll talk about it and try to give the family some edification. If I could just end off by saying, as y'all know, I don't subscribe to the moniker being RBG Hebrew. For me, and I'm only speaking for myself, I don't need to attach anything else to Israel outside of being Israel. There are tenets within the RBG movement as it was originally put together by Marcus Garvey and others that I agree with, but I can find those tenets in Torah. So I don't need to add nothing else to myself as being an Israelite. As far as the RBG movement today, with the caliber of people that attach themselves to it, you know, I don't want to be associated with them. I have to be associated with degenerate Israelites because I am an Israelite. That's my nationality. But RBG is not my nationality, so I don't have to associate myself with that. I can kind of distance myself from that. So I choose to do that. That's my outlook on it. I appreciate everybody that came on tonight and supported the topic. I know a lot of people was very excited about this topic. A lot of people have been on the comment boards, you know, saying a lot. Thank you to my moderators. I know y'all been going hard. I see my moderators are going real hard on the comment boards, man. People are getting upset, you know. Well, moderators are going real hard, man. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate y'all for everything that y'all do. Shout out to my brother Divine Prospect. Shout out to my brother Gedaliah. Shout out to Mighty Hebrew. Shout out to brother Jeshub Israel. Shout out to Divine Prospect. Shout out to my mother Damon Smith, aka D Red. You know, James Cassell. Shout out to Gorilla Hebrew, who was trying to get on. I don't know why he couldn't get on, but he's trying to get on. But he'll probably maybe get on with Tazariak tomorrow. Shout out to everybody. We're gonna continue this, Israel. So before I go, if this conversation was, if y'all want to see more conversations like this on Maccabeestv, hit the 1 button right now. Let us know that you appreciate the conversation tonight, and we'll do more. We'll definitely do more. If y'all appreciate what we did tonight, if this was edifying to you one way or another, no matter where you stand, hit the number 1. Let us know that you appreciate what we did. And I promise I'll have more conversations like this on tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Lord willing. You know, I did invite some my brother Zion Lex on, as y'all saw, but the brother chose, he just wanted to kind of watch. He didn't really want to say anything. So, all, you know, respect to my brother right there. We'll definitely have brother Zion on real soon. I've been talking to brother Zion. Zion got a lot to say. GOCC New York, I see y'all. Shout out to y'all. My brother Gabar, you already know. All right, so with that, I say peace and safety, Israel. And one more thing, man. If y'all see my video today, the Southern Poverty Law Center done added your brother, Danyaahla, to their hate group list. And I take it as an honor. So if you scared, don't watch no more of my videos, because they got me as a hate group now. Lions of Israel, we're a hate group. So if you're scared, don't watch our videos no more. All right? Because they be watching everything you do on the internet. All right? With that, I say shalom to the family. Maccabeestv, Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council. Peace to all the brothers that was on the panel. I appreciate y'all. Yo, long live the nation of Israel. We coming back strong, y'all. Shalom.